Kids, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, campers. Welcome to the program. I am Tom Connors. It is time for Midnight's Edge in the morning. We have the boss man, Andre, here. How you doing?
Greetings. I'm doing excellent. So glad to be here with the two of you, and we'll see who else will join over the course of the stream.
Indeed. We have with us a Canadian to make sure we have our Canadian contingent, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it seems mandatory now, doesn't it?
It is. It's mandatory.
By the
We have Paul,
Hi.
who's in a new location now. It's like
Yes.
you keep changing locations.
Absolutely. I have a big house.
You're like the man on the street.
This is my cathedral.
We go now to our man on the street, Paul Chato.
Well, when we were doing Super 8 movies back when we were like 16 years old, all we did was like turn the camera. This is one location. This is another one. This is another
Just
one.
cardboard backgrounds and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, it's all we could do. It's all we could afford.
Just, wait a minute, is this the spaceship or is this the dungeon?
You can actually, don't underestimate just turning the camera around and getting a different background.
Oh God, one of my favorite stories in a documentary once. It was about creature effects, and I can't remember the individual who said it, but they were talking about how digital effects have made not only directors and creatives lazy, but
Yeah.
they've made them incompetent and stupid. He goes, because we're sitting here one day and they're arguing over this shot because it's supposed to be a period piece, and there was modern air conditioning ducts in the shot. And so like, well, we're going to have to CG it out. Well, that'll cost like $3,000. And they're just arguing over it and blah, 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 blah. So the special effects guy walks over, turns everything 90 degrees, camera, lights, everything. He goes, there, I just saved you $3,000.
Yeah, I remember I was directing a film, and we had broken for lunch, and it was like unbelievably cheap, of course. And suddenly on King Street behind us, I saw a giant tourist coach van with a shit ton of Japanese tourists with cameras on all their necks. And I screamed at the DOP and the actors, and I went, your places, take your places now. And I was just yelling, and everyone did. They just like stopped moving food out of their mouths. Camera got on their dolly, and I mean the sound guys, everyone else, and then the Japanese tourists, like, I don't know, 50 of them just sort of like walked behind. It was like a spectacular shot. It was great. Got it all in, worked great. You have to, that's the adventure when you don't have 3D special effects to rely on.
Exactly. But let's see what you guys are saying this morning out there. We got Grimzilla sending in $20. Thank you so much for that.
You Keener
says with $20, way to kill the goodwill Deadpool and Wolverine. 2 alpha males just bought you, Disney. This cemented my decision to not see Deadpool and Wolverine because Feige will not learn. I'll just celebrate Godzilla x Kong making $500 million.
What happened?
I
What?
think he's talking about the Marvel
He's
X-Men.
he is obviously referencing the main topic of today, namely Kevin Feige and Marvel learning nothing and still doubling down on going all female centric all the time, which is what all the latest rumors suggest is going on with the
Right.
X-Men, which
For the live
might
one.
as well be retitled the X-Women.
Because the cartoon turned out fine.
It did. It did. The cartoon turned out fine. Unfortunately, Bo DeMaio, who deserves some mea culpas and apologies across the board, because by all accounts he would appear to have nailed it.
Yeah.
He unfortunately, who knows what's going to happen with season 2 of X-Men '97, hasn't done very well in the ratings. Done very well with reviews so far. I haven't touched too much about the final episode, but even Yellow Flash is basically saying that he nailed it. So I trust those opinions on that. But he'll have nothing to do with the X-Men live action series. We'll get into that in a little while here.
Oh, the ironies. Maybe he got tossed because he was too faithful to the series.
Well, that's kind of what I had.
We can't rule that out.
No, it's a guess. Of all
He didn't
people.
insert enough of himself as a
Yep.
gay black man into it, because
Yes,
that's why
that was
he
my
was
theory.
hired. And if they don't saw enough of that in the series, I would have been very disappointed.
That would be a funny discussion. We purposely hired you because we thought you were going to make them all disabled. You know, we would
Yeah.
never have hired a wheelchair-bound director if we didn't expect everyone to be disabled in this show. How dare you?
You didn't make everything gay enough. What the
Yeah,
hell?
for crying out loud. That's what we anticipated. How dare you adhere to the canon? Oh my
That's-
God.
You're joking, but I honestly think that might have been what happened.
I agree. I agree.
That's also a funny bit. Holy smokes. Jesus Murphy. The dumbest things that you can think of actually could turn out to be true these days.
Yeah, not saying that's a good thing, but yeah, someone else who may want to chime in on that is the good script doctor. How's it going?
Going well. I was hearing a little bit of that in the background while I was getting here. Sorry, I'm late. The postman stopped by to drop off some packages I had to sign for.
Did he ring
Did he
only
ring twice?
No, he knocked 3 times. But yeah, actually, Bo DeMaio has completed season 2, and I already have heard confirmation from Lenore Zahn, who voices Rogue, that she's already recorded season 2. She's just waiting for the recall to resync up some of the dialogue to the animation, so that's already in the can.
So they didn't even do any rewrites from what Bo had submitted. Then basically is what you're saying.
It looks that way, yeah. So yes, I think the theory is the fact that one, nothing really terrible or salacious has come out with regards to Bo DeMaio regarding why he was suddenly terminated the day before the premiere. And the public reception of X-Men '97 has been way better than anything anticipated. Now it's basically, how is Disney going to recover for season 3? Because they're most likely never going to get Bo DeMaio back. I mean, they're not going to rehire.
Oh no,
him.
they fired him.
Yeah, they're not going to rehire him.
They didn't
not gonna
fire
be a
him even
James
like
Gunn
Gina. They
situation with
flat out
Guardians of the
fired his
Galaxy.
ass. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is not a Guardians of the Galaxy situation with Alan Horn and James Gunn. They're not going to be able to pull him back in that situation. So whoever they get to replace him for season 3 has got one heck of a steep climb to make.
If
just
there
to meet up
is
with
a season 3, though, that's a
the
big
question.
thing, though. Yeah.
Well, I mean, given the positive reception and the ratings of the first season, Disney's most likely betting that that's going to be consistent with season 2.
What have you heard about the ratings? Because I've heard nothing good about them.
It's the fact that they're constantly steady. Like, that's the only thing I've heard right now, is that there hasn't been any decline, but the rise has been pretty slow. Like, again, how can you argue the opposite? Because Disney has put out so much stuff that people have dropped off on. There's no trust there. So it's going to be a very difficult endeavor for Disney to try and convince people, like, hey, yeah, this is actually okay. You got to watch it. Please watch it. And everybody that has watched it has always recommended it. I mean, that's one big point that Disney hasn't had in, 3 years at least?
Nah, especially when it comes to stuff like this. So yeah, no, and that's kind of where I was coming from too, Paul. And I just want to let you know that that camera makes you look just like Jimmy Stewart.
Oh well, I'll just have to go into a Jimmy Stewart mode then. What else will I have to do? Harvey, can you get me some coffee? He's such an
Yeah, it was pure
unreliable guy.
murder. Anyway, so yeah, this
We'll
whole
never do
X-Men
that movie. That's a movie, kind of
Rear Window,
no,
or which one?
no, that's the gay one.
Oh.
The Harvey. They'll never do
yeah,
Harvey
no.
again
No.
because it kind of doesn't celebrate, but it doesn't make too big a deal out of alcoholism, which is what that movie is about, right?
No, they'd make it about mental health now.
Zoloft. He's
I took that pill and I no longer see the rabbit.
But yeah. That's and there's
The rabbit tells me to do things.
And then there's that Dudley Moore movie about being an alcoholic. You wouldn't be able to.
Oh, Arthur. Yeah. Well, they did try remaking that with what's his name? Russell Brand.
Yes.
And it sucked.
Yeah. The only funny part is when he rolls up in the Batmobile dressed as Batman. That was like the best part of the movie. Well, so like, yeah, modern Arthur, that's what he would do. That's about it. Yeah.
Foster Brooks had to completely change his routine when it just became untenable being a drunk. Because that was his routine.
But we got off topic there. We got a little drunk topic. No, we're good. Twilight Hopes is Happy Labor's Day. Andre, have you given triple work? What day where's it Labor Day today?
Well, it's Labor Day in all over Europe right now. It's the 1st of May. That is the International
May 1st,
Labor Day.
Yeah, Commie Day.
So no, I haven't given triple work yet. I have given myself double work because I have 2 scripts and 2 videos.
Yeah, it's European Labor Day
to set the stage today. So yes, I'm the one that will be doing most right now. Of course, then that workload is going to be shifted later. No. It's for American Labor Day. That's when the real celebration begins with triple workload.
Indeed.
That's September.
Yes.
Dr. Long
May 1 is associated with the Soviet Union, isn't it? If I recall.
Yes, it is. It's kind of like the Commie Day.
Yeah, it is. It's Commie Day. I mean, I was only half joking.
Yeah. No, I know. No, it's absolutely it is Commie Day. It's Commie Day and it's Unions Day, and
I do have my red
all
cup.
Of the labor parties of Europe, which are commie parties, a lot of them, and not a single one have done good for their nations.
Yes.
And then Dr. Long Dongler sends us in a thumbs up to remind us to hit that thumbs up for £1.99. Thank you for that. And we got Callum Lyle sending in 5 Australian. Says Mufasa and the 2019 remake. Why didn't they put actors in mocap or dots on their faces while they voice acted and show emotion on the animals? Yeah, I don't even really know how they directed these films, because to me these would be almost like pure animated films anyway. So although it does look like they tried to make them.
The bad guy's a tiger, like right out of Kung Fu Panda.
Whoa. Well, I did see they tried to give the animals a little bit more emotion this time, but it just come off as weird.
What it was about. There's actually 3 different versions of the trailer that I saw. One that's 3 weeks old, and the one that was released now. And then I saw 2 versions of the one that just got released now, and I had no idea whether it was. I had no idea. And the animation wasn't consistent from one scene to another. The fur was different. I had no idea. It would have been way more interesting to do a movie on Scar and why he turned bad.
Maybe you'll get that for part 3.
Really? Wow. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of the complaint that no one asked for this movie. I mean, even Steve Jobs said, nothing becomes successful if all you do is do what the people ask. But on the other hand, it makes it for a more difficult sell, at least to begin with. You do want to surprise people. That is important.
I think this is a tax shelter.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I mean,
no one gets it. They're going to spend a shit ton of money on it, or they have already. And,
And
the trailer was horrific. I have no idea who's running Disney.
I mean, here's my thing. I think the first Lion King and Aladdin were flukes, right? People were kind of into the gimmick.
You mean the remakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Because since then, they have tumbled and fallen. In fact, they try as hard as they can to try and argue how Little Mermaid is some success. And maybe they did actually make a little bit of money on it because most of their money was in the US. But as Andre, I'm sure will back me up on this. Internationally, that movie's a joke.
Oh, total joke. I
Well,
think
I
it's
mean,
even,
again, you
even
can put a sketch
killed off
together with the
future live
Disney
action
executives
remakes.
trying to figure out what next movie to rape, right? What's left? What's left in the cupboard?
What
Little
did you say,
Chitty
Andre?
Chitty Bang Bang. No, that wasn't ours. Damn, I thought that was ours. I've always, because there's Dick Van Dyke in it. How come everything in with Dick Van Dyke was that a Disney movie? Nope.
They might own it now because wasn't that a Fox movie?
That's MGM.
Was it an MGM one? Okay.
So, well, let's do the live action version of Bread Knobs and Broomstick. It's already live action. Oh,
Well, let's make it more live action.
yeah, we can do it in 3D because everyone thought that the Lion King in 3D was live action.
Well, and they tried doing a lot of this a few years back before they did it, like because they've done this in phases, right? We've had our where they did like 101 Dalmatians and Jungle Book back in the 90s, and they did okay, but those were more like, like 101 Dalmatians was just, yes, a live action version of the other one.
That was terrible. That was the one
And then
with
Glenn Close and
Glenn
all that
Close,
stuff.
yeah, that was.
And then you had the Jungle Book with the kid who played Jason Lee, who played Bruce Lee, but that was like an older Mowgli and and stuff like that. But then they tried doing it again when they had Cinderella. Yeah, and no, that's the newer one they did recently. No, that they did one in the 90s as well.
Oh, right.
So that's what I'm saying is, so this is not the first time they've done this. They've tried this a few times now, and every time they've done it, it didn't quite work out. And I don't know why they tried it again, but they did, and they just hit pay dirt with the Lion King and Aladdin. That's what really helped them out. And for some reason, they thought that this is the way to go.
What do they have left?
Well, that's what I was saying. They don't make any original material anymore. They literally have a live action studio side that does nothing but remake their old animated films now. That's it.
Yeah, the only people making real movies is their Fox.
They're not even remaking their live action films. I mean, they're not even doing like That Darn Cat or, like you said, the Herbie movies and stuff like that before. Like,
well, they did that once. That was actually well done. The remake.
Well, that was more of a sequel spinoff, but yeah.
They did Flubber with Robin Williams.
Yeah, and that was 30 years ago.
And that wasn't very good.
Well, 25 years ago, but still, yeah.
No, I think it was 30 because, again, mid-90s.
Yeah, 96 maybe. I think you're right.
But they've, I think their only choice now is to take all the live action versions, animate those, and then make live action versions of the animated versions.
So like the Apple Dumpling Gang animated.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they gotta animate the Apple Dumpling Gang and then do a live action version of it. That's, I think,
animate Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, then do a live action version.
Exactly.
Because that's essentially what they're doing. They're just remaking in a new medium, essentially, their old catalog. There's nothing new coming in. And as I mentioned on Me last night, the books that are being picked up by studios for movie rights aren't being put into production because the books suck and the people trying to adapt them aren't good enough to adapt them anyways. We have a big gap of new IP that Paul has also referenced. Where's been the new IP over the last 15 years? None. The closest thing, I think the latest thing literally was John Wick, because that was 2014.
Yeah. And we were talking last night how Hollywood has turned away from adapting books. Like that used to be their bread and butter, right? Like,
yeah,
like I said,
the books suck.
Now the books suck. That's the problem. Yeah. I mean, but you look at the top 10 movies of all time, and a good majority of them are based on books, right? Yep. Jaws, Gone with the Wind, all of them based on a book.
Yeah. The Volante.
They don't do that anymore.
No, because no one is writing, as Script said, what books are out there. We don't even have bad Judith Krantz books anymore.
Argyle was one of the only ones we could come up recently with.
But that was a book written at the same time as a screenplay, and it came out after the movie.
So it's like a 2001 thing, it sounds like. Or it was just the adaptation of the movie and people are thinking it was based on a book, I guess? Could
Yeah,
that be the
it was
case?
a marketing ploy. The joke
Oh,
was that
okay.
it's based off of a book, but when you look to see when the book is released, it's like, wait a minute, the book is not released yet. So it's a gimmick to make fun of the fact that some things are based off a book, and
Got
also
you.
because the movie itself is about an author, a spy who's turned into an author and who gets reawakened as a spy. So it was a little convoluted, but yeah, it's technically it was original screenplay then adapted to be a book and then released
Okay,
in the
kids,
same time.
this is what script is talking about. Back in the day, before a movie would come out, we'd get this thing called an adaptation, where they would take the screenplay and they would write a novel of it. And this would generally hit the market before the movie would even hit the market.
Yep.
Okay, that's called the novelization. They used to do it for every single movie, even TV shows like that. Well, this was in theaters too, but that Battlestar Galactica, for instance. This is the rare thing. See, you'd have the movie based on a book, then they'd re-release the book with the movie art.
Well, the funny part with that one there is
first.
Forrest Gump was a book first,
That's
then
my
they made
point,
the
yes.
movie, and then they adapted the book movie into another book. So there's two Forrest Gump
Well, this is the actual Winston Groom original novel.
with the reprint of the Tom Hanks
just with
stuff.
the new movie poster. But that's my point. Is that so? That's what Argyle was. That wasn't an.
Well, and there were there's always very difficult books to adapt, like Garp, things like that. That was fairly successfully adapted. Yeah, part of the problem is, I mean, people are reading, but I no longer keep track of what it is that they're reading.
YA novels are about the only thing they adapt now.
And I mentioned this in one video a long time ago. It was really nice when heroes were like, a novelist could be as big as a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time a scientist, a nuclear physicist could be as big as a movie star. Certain business people could be as big as movie stars. We've kind of gotten rid of anybody in an intellect. A conductor.
Well, yeah, you used to have like your Tom Clancy, your John Grisham, and all that
couple of
stuff.
superstar businessmen. We do have that.
We do, but like a conductor, a symphony conductor could be an international star. That stopped. Everything that Woody Allen made fun of as part of the intellectual elite, that's all gone. No one. It's funny. The intellectual side of things they're no longer stars. We've got TikTok stars who lip sync to songs.
Well, and that's the other problem. That's kind of what got us on that point to begin with, was that you used to have these movies and then they'd try to plug a star into it, right? Sure. And 9 times out of 10, we'd be going, I'm going to go see the new John Wayne movie, or I'm going to go see the new whoever movie. Absolutely. Well, now instead, the new movie stars are the movies themselves are like the superhero films, right? And that kind of gets us to that actually kind of gets us on the Chris Hemsworth bit a little bit, because he's out there talking about apologizing for Thor, and the Russos are out there trying to say that there's superhero fatigue again, that same old song and dance we keep hearing. And this is what got Script and I on the whole conversation last night, was that they just don't do vehicles anymore for movie stars, and that's what used to create these people. And they used to take more chances on these smaller pictures, and they just don't do it anymore. And I brought it up myself, about Rain Man and other films like that. But it's even worse because this is where the cultural stagnation comes in, is they're remaking all this stuff from the 80s, 70s, and 90s. So this last generation is not going to have anything for themselves, right? Like, it's all going to be this hodgepodge of IP mess from their dads and granddads' generation, basically. That's kind of where they're at now, going along with what's, Andre, you've said before about the cultural stagnation that we're dealing with.
Absolutely. Starting from a good book is important, I think, for many movies. And there are readers out there. There are people in Hollywood who are just grinding through every single thing that's been printed in the year to try to find something that can be adapted.
Yeah, they have to go further back in time to find it, because of this cultural stagnation. Obviously, you have like individual talent out there. I'm never saying you don't, but they're not hitting the mainstream in the way that they used to before. But we have plenty more topics to cover here today and get into. Before that, though, I saw a movie yesterday. Anyone want to care to guess which one?
The Fall Guy?
That is correct. I saw The Fall Guy.
Monday.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it Monday. Got a review on my Patreon coming out this afternoon.
Cool. What do you think about it?
If you're a fan of the original show, you might be a little disappointed, but because it doesn't do all the things that the original show did, but overall it's fun, charming, and kind of a spiritual sequel in tone to Tropic Thunder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't have as many
Wow.
great jokes as Tropic Thunder, but it has some of the tone and the way it mocks celebrities and the stakes of a movie and all that type of stuff as well.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I would be inclined to agree with that. I think that's an apt comparison. I I I have no actual memory of the show, none at all. I think I have seen it, but I don't recall it. And I honestly I remember seeing the trailers and thinking, "Ah, this looks cool." But when I was in the movie, I had even forgotten about the trailers as well. But I thought it was a kind of a cool movie off to a slow start. I
Mhm.
was like, what's really going on here? What are we talking about? What is happening in this movie? Why am I watching this? But as the plot thickened and you got to see what was really going on, it got kind of cool. But it's very, very obviously a movie by Hollywood for Hollywood and for those of us who watch Hollywood. I don't know how accessible the movie is going to be to those who aren't Hollywood watchers like ourselves, because there's a lot of in jokes and stuff like that, things that we who run movie podcasts and stuff like that will be onto everything, with producers taking over movies and recastings and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is kind of like a movie where the people who are making it, they make a movie about what they know. They get high fives because everyone they meet are people within the industry. But it's a very industry heavy movie.
Hmm.
It
Very
is.
industry heavy movie.
They tried to bridge it with the fact that there is a love story in it and a mystery, and the set pieces of the stunts are really impressive, and you get to see how they did them in the end credits. They actually show you some behind the scenes stuff of how they did the stunts, and as far as I can tell, they all look practical with the exception of a couple of CGI fire scenes, obviously because fire's very dangerous to work with.
Yeah.
So can you tell me in the TV show,
Mhm.
he used the fact that it was fake stunting and effects to try to solve and fool real criminals.
Yes. So he's
That's what the
he's a
TV show
stunt
was.
guy who doesn't make enough money as a stunt guy, so he moonlights as a bounty hunter. And so every episode was the formula is that someone has skipped bail and he's got to go find them. And he is put in situations where his stunt experience allows him to get one over on the crook. Now, here's a fun fact. Um, Lee Majors has a cameo in this film. It's a blink or you miss it. At least for me, it was. And his female partner, whose name is escaping me at the moment, but let me just go back and check because I think I've got her mentioned somewhere.
While you're doing that,
Heather Thomas, who is
Mm,
still really good looking, is
and she
also
was
in
in
there
the
as well
original TV
as
show.
the same character from the TV series. But again, that's how she's credited. But again, it was a blink or you miss it. I had to be told by the people I was with that they were in there because I didn't really pick up on them. Again, I've seen them in the show. Obviously, they're 30, 40 years older than they were back when that show began, so it's a little tricky
Paycheck.
to memorize them. But, yes, so the main character obviously, Ryan Gosling is playing the same character as Lee Majors, but, Lee Majors is technically credited as the fall guy. Like, that's his credit in there. And
Ah,
then Emily Blunt is not playing the Heather character. She's playing a different Jody with a different last name.
okay.
So, and it's a romance between them in the story.
Do they have
And they've
chemistry?
got some good chemistry too. So
Ooh,
that mean, it worked.
they're
well,
both good actors.
before we go too much farther, we have a guest joining us in the back. I want to bring in here before we get too deep into this. Cabrutus is joining us once again on Midnight's Edge. How you doing, sir?
Hello, guys. I'm sorry for joining you guys too late. You know, I was at the kitchen eating and talking
No
to other
worries.
people. No, it's 1:34 a.m. here. But it's great to be here with you guys. Anton just dropped me a link, and I thought, yeah, I mean, why not joining the guys? You guys are great. Hello, how you guys doing?
Hola.
And yeah, hola, ¿cómo va? And yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Yeah, fantastic. Glad to have you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed.
It's awesome to be with you guys again.
Yes. We're actually just in the middle of, or we're just about to get to, we're
Mhm.
finishing up Andre and script talking
I'm sure
about.
you're happy that Grums has taken some heat off you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can finish it.
Yeah, let's finish Fall Guy.
We're just finishing up the Fall Guy. Yep.
Sure.
So, Andre, anything more to say about the Fall Guy?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It had some very good music, very good score. No, sorry, soundtrack. Very good soundtrack in the movie. A little bit pretentious, but very well made. But again, very Hollywood centric. This is a movie by Hollywood, for Hollywood, and for Hollywood watchers. Be very curious to hear what people who aren't connected to Hollywood in any kind of sense is going to think about it. Like, just to imagine if it was a movie that really went into the depths about plumbing or the daily struggles of an electrician. I mean, how exciting is this for most people watching? That's kind of like what this is here. This is like Hollywood getting high on themselves in a sense. So cool movie, good performances, but really self-grandiose where Hollywood is concerned.
It is, and Aaron Taylor Johnson plays a great Logan Paul or whatever other Paul brother it's out there. That's what he's doing. No, he's making fun of him. Like it's really good. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's also very accessible. Like a lot of the people I was with were not connected to Hollywood because this was a private last minute screening that was happening locally that I wasn't expecting to go to. And they all got a blast out of it because they cared more about the love story, the mystery, and the stunts. Like those are the things that are going to grasp an audience. And this is a Universal movie, so it's not from Disney or any of the other stuff. So, and Universal has a mixed bag of how well they do things. So, I think that this would do. I think this would be a lucky hit at the box office, and by lucky I mean scoring 15 or 20 million on an opening weekend domestically. Because
I think it might have a chance to do 40, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
because again, I still think general audiences are burned by going to a movie and expecting one thing and then feeling like they got ripped off or got something else and then don't tell their friends about it. But this one might be good. I mean, you're definitely going to get a lot of women wanting to see this for Ryan Gosling because again, they loved him in Barbie. So there's that angle that
they will not be disappointed.
They will not, definitely will not be. Emily Blunt is really good in it. There's a couple of other actors that you haven't really heard of before that do have some standout performances. I like the Ryan Gosling's buddy in the film, his co-stunt guy.
Yeah, he was great.
I mean, he was good. I mean, one of the things that hampers it is some of the dialogue comedy is not as funny, but some of the physical comedy is actually pretty good. And yeah, I think general people, especially from this audience, would appreciate a lot of it.
All right. Yeah, I think it has a chance. I can't remember how it did this weekend because it did open in a bunch of bigger markets, and yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes this weekend. I think it has a chance. So glad to hear both of you enjoyed it.
The thing too is that this might be the closest example of a modern version of old style Hollywood casting that is possible. Emily Blunt has got a very good reputation. I think people like her. And of course, Ryan is on a bit of a roll, but that's sort of accidental. I mean, you don't know when these movies are going to come out, right?
Right.
Tropic Thunder was done before Iron Man. So, or actually, Iron Man was done before Tropic Thunder, but it
was the other way around.
But it wasn't released before.
Right.
Was that true? I don't know about
that.
Well,
they're right up against each other because
I was going to say
came out in 08.
Yeah, no,
or did Tropic Thunder come out in 09?
No, Tropic Thunder came out in 08.
Iron Man came out in 08.
I swear I saw Iron Man first. Because this kind of I swear this was riding off the high of that.
It was
But I could
because
be
part of the
wrong.
advertisement was Robert Downey Jr. wearing
Yeah,
an
'cause this
Iron
came
Man
out in
mask and
August.
Jack Black wearing a Kung Fu Panda mask, and Iron Man just constantly punching Jack Black in the balls. That was part of the promotion for Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Iron Man came out a few months before.
Yeah, Iron Man was like May of 08, and then Tropic Thunder was the end of the summer.
Oh,
Yeah, and Tropic Thunder didn't do great in theaters. It did okay. It found its audience later on video more so.
anyway, sidetracked. Sorry.
But yeah.
Keep
So I mean,
going.
this movie, I like that you guys are saying that it's kind of like that kind of humor, because I think the audience is smart enough for that. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean, if
that
you-
this might bring in the younger audience having Ken in it.
Yes. No, the all the women really liked Ryan Gosling in this.
I mean, in many ways, the Sandra Bullock,
Channing
Tatum,
Tatum thing.
yeah, that was an old style Hollywood stunt, right? I mean, you get a mediocre film, put two popular individuals in there, and it did quite well. So I don't mind more of that right now.
All right.
No, for sure.
So let's keep moving along here. We got Packing Protons here, who says with $5, I must be in the minority. I thought Thor 3 was unwatchable for second viewing. I'd watch Love and Thunder again. Oh, wow. Okay, see.
Yeah, you are in the minority.
Yeah. So let's get on this topic of Thor, because so what Chris Hemsworth did, he was in, was it Esquire or GQ, somebody he was talking
It's like
to,
a fitness magazine or something.
or something like that. Yeah, because there's a big spread in it and all that kind of stuff with images and stuff. But the big thing that stood out to everybody, or at least that's getting all the traction, is that he apologized for how bad Thor Love and Thunder turned out and how the character has gone down this dude bro route, basically. So Andre, did you happen to catch this interview or read the interview or anything like that?
Well, I didn't read the whole interview, but I saw bits and pieces of it, and I thought these were some very intriguing comments, because we've seen before that Hemsworth has been too happy with Love and Thunder, but
Right.
he appears to be less and less happy with it the more that time flies by, which is interesting when you consider some other things that he has said. We'll get back to that. But still, I think that this is him realizing he has to say this, that this is a movie that has almost zero popularity with the fans. Packing Protons may prefer Ragnarok to it, but that is, again, an a minority view. The majority view is that Thor Ragnarok did good at the box office, but everyone hates it. No one likes it. It has
What?
zero
No one
rewatch.
liked Ragnarok?
I was gonna say, I don't know about that,
Sorry. I
Andre.
meant Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
I was gonna
I
say,
love,
yeah.
actually, I loved
I
Ragnarok.
was gonna say
I
Ragnarok. Yes,
love
there's
Ragnarok.
some fans that don't like it, but that's where I think the argument can be made, because part of the thing is that he said here was they went too much into the improv and the humor.
Yeah.
And that's true. And a lot of people agree. In fact, I said you took it about as far as you could with Ragnarok, because you have basically the, the frat boy version of him, which works. The frat boy version of Thor kind of works. Especially if they wanted to play with the humor, what they should have done is a Daryl series with him, right? Just a TV series of him with Daryl, just their everyday bullshit, mundane stuff. And that was funny to me, those little shorts. But when they tried to do the nonstop wacky stuff in Love and Thunder, it just came off as like Ghostbusters 2016, because that's all they were doing was improv. And that's kind of what he was apologizing for, was that they had gone too far with the improv and, all that kind of stuff. And we really hated the Big Lebowski version of Thor. That's what people hated.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Yeah. Cabrutus, did you see Thor Love and Thunder? And if so, what do you think about? That's the newest one.
Oh, to be honest with you guys, there's been, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years that I took the decision to only watch movies from 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and also Japanese and South Korean, animes. And so I've been pretty much ignoring all Marvel movies since 2015, I guess. So I'm sorry, I may not be the best guy to talk about this. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I think that you are, because that goes to why he's saying this, because you're not the only one. and you
Mhm.
can see this in the box office, or rather the
Mhm.
declining box office. I mean, Thor: Love and Thunder was the second last Marvel movie to actually do okay at the box office. Then it was followed by uh, um, Black
Black
Panther
Panther.
2, yeah, which also did pretty okay. And since then, it's all been downhill, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was a fluke. But beyond that, it's all been downhill, and it's because the audience have checked out. And you can see that in the box office as a whole. The whole of the box office is about a fraction of what it was a few years ago. And I think that is because there's more people like you, Cabrutus, that have basically just decided that, you know what, this ain't working for me. There's nothing here
Mhm.
worth checking out. And you have a ton of catalog made by
Mhm.
much more talented people than the ones who Hollywood keeps giving chances to make movie after movie and series after series, and nothing
Mhm.
comes close to the stuff from the 80s, the 90s, or hell, even from Korea, as you're pointing out.
Yeah, definitely, man. In my opinion, the best movies are all from the 80s and 90s. I mean, just my opinion, okay? For example, John Carpenter is my favorite movie director. No, I love his movies. The Thing, They Live, bro. They Live, such a based movie. They don't do things like that anymore. And well, I mean, Halloween is my favorite slasher movies. I mean, I love to talk about movies and pop culture as a whole, but I mean, since I am mainly focused on the 80s and 90s. I have this boomer mindset. Sometimes I feel like I just cannot talk about those modern era stuff, with some exceptions. For example, Godzilla movies. I have watched those. The most recent Godzilla versus Kong I did not, but all the others I did. King of the Monster is a great movie in my opinion. But I mean, but that's that. And I'm glad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see the box office tanking for these movies. I cannot wait to see Disney just disappearing. And
No,
this
that's
this
not going to
Marvel.
happen though. But
Oh yeah, I mean, when I say this, I mean, when I say disappearing is a stretch. I know that. No, I just
yeah,
want to see they just leave, my beloved franchises alone. For example, they bought Fox, right? I love Predator, I love Aliens, I love Terminators, and I mean, I just don't destroy them, please. That's all I ask.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we got to kind of give Chris some credit here because he pulled a Joel Schumacher is what he did. Um, because he says that I got caught up in the improv and the wackiness, and I became a parody of myself. I didn't stick the landing. Now I don't agree with some of this here, but what he's doing is giving the excuses to why they went with the more humorous Thor, because he was basically griping that he didn't have enough to do. He goes, "Sometimes I felt like a security guard for the team. It was always about you guys, you got to put on put the wig on, you got muscles, you got the costume, where's the lightning? Yeah, I'm part of this big thing, but I'm probably pretty replaceable." See, I don't think he understands that Thor is kind of like their Superman.
no, I think
Um,
he does understand that, but that he's being humble. That would be my theory about that. And
okay.
also, in terms of that, notice how he hasn't brought up Taika Waititi,
No.
because he easily could have said, "Oh, Taika completely botched this," but no. Instead, he is focusing on himself. So I think that this is him being strategic. This is him knowing that if he's going to have a future with the audience, he has to apologize as much as he possibly can apologize without burning bridges with the studio and with Hollywood, which is why he is blaming himself and saying, "Yeah, well, we did too much of that. I did too much of this," rather than saying, "Dude, Taika Waititi, he blew it. Oh, and Kevin Feige, he really, really blew it. And Bob Iger, dude, that guy needs to retire because he let all of this happen." He could have said that, but he didn't. It would have been more honest, because honestly, that is where the problem lies. The fault here is with those. It's not really with him. He's an actor that shows up on set and he does his job, and and he did what he was supposed to do. And here he takes it upon himself why that didn't work out this time. But this wasn't his fault. He's not the key decision maker here. His job is to do whatever Taika Waititi tells him.
No, but I think what he's
Because
saying
that-
here is he encouraged it and he could have possibly stopped it and he didn't.
But you
That's
don't
what I
know.
think.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't know when you're in the middle of it. Ragnarok was a massive success, so they obviously
Doubled down.
They doubled down on the humor side, and that was a big mistake. You know, they maybe should have might have been the best timing to bring in Branagh, who did the first movie, and make it, go back to a more Shakespearean roots, which I loved. I absolutely really liked that version of it. Yeah, but I don't think anyone in that boardroom would have objected to the fact that Ragnarok was a huge success, and a lot of it has to do with the humor, two, that Hemsworth actually can pull it off. He's a very funny actor, and so they went with it. So and they blew it.
Well, where I blame Feige and Waititi in this mess is that they should have known better. Because you're coming off, Ragnarok came in a place where it was kind of the perfect place for it. Because, you got to remember, up to that point, the funniest thing we'd had just been the Guardians films. So for them to do it to something else wasn't a big deal. And you can kind of work with Thor in that way, with that fish out of waterness. And I liked the Planet Hulk aspect. The problem most people had was mixing the Ragnarok story in there. That's the part that most people had a problem with, because it's kind of,
you know what, in this case,
hodgepodge.
I think in this case you're putting on 2020 glasses.
Maybe. And no, but my point was that I was getting to, though, was this movie comes after Endgame and all that other stuff, right? And there's some good stuff in Love and Thunder. The problem is it's surrounded by crap.
True,
right?
There are moments. Yeah.
There's, because you have the bit where Thor is kind of blaming himself for not defeating Thanos in the first place, and you have that great moment with him and his mom, and there's some other bits and pieces here and there. But to me, I felt like it let the character down, not even just so much because of the crappy humor, but just because of how it treated his relationship with Jane.
Oh, it was terrible.
Right?
And it was overcomplicated, and you had
Yeah.
Zeus in there, and they were making fun of Zeus. I mean, it was just a stupid movie. I mean, it was really, they blew it. But the point is, they didn't blow it on purpose. And I keep going back to that. There was enough talented people involved that people don't purposely try to make a bad movie.
Oh, no, and that's where I'll give him credit. He's at least taking the blame, and he's pulling a Joel Schumacher and saying, I'm sorry. And I'll try to do better next time.
The biggest tragedy in all of this is that I think there was genuine audience love and connection to the key Marvel pieces. So Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, people really did enjoy that combo. They loved Chris Hemsworth as Thor, like completely bought into what he did with that role. Black Widow, name some other ones. Anyway, so the point is, Marvel did a phenomenal job setting the table and getting really good casting for this. And the fact that they blew it so badly with and what's his name in Doctor Strange. That's why we all went to Doctor Strange, only to have it swapped out, to have it bait and switched. Was a horrible experience. So I mean, it's too bad. They really blew it.
And something you can say about Hemsworth is that he helped make Thor a household name.
Yeah.
Marvel's Thor, that is, because before that, hardly anybody knew the character. And I've told this story before, so I'll keep it quick. But I think it brought a huge female base to the Marvel universe, because when I was working at this grocery store years and years ago, this would have been not too long after I think the first Avengers was out. I don't think the second one was out yet. But this lady was renting the second Thor movie, I think it was. And because did that come out after Avengers?
Yes,
I can't remember. I think so, because I had said something to her, and I asked her about something about the Avengers as she was renting the movie, and she's like, "The what?" I said, "The Avengers, the movie with all of them in it." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, so I realized in that moment she had no idea that this was part of a bigger universe. She just liked the Thor movies. So I had to explain it to her, and I went over and I showed her all the other movies, and she's like, "Oh, well, cool. I'll have to check them out. I didn't even know that." Especially that since Thor is in the Avengers, I'll have to see that. Because she was just a fan of Chris Hemsworth and Thor.
But I also find that women are more like that.
Yep, that's what I'm
I
saying.
like
Like,
that car because of its color. Yeah, but it's a Mustang. Well, yeah, no,
but
but
now
it's
what
blue.
that did though is that opened the door for her to the Marvel universe,
Correct.
and so he was a
Yeah.
gateway drug to I think a lot of women in this franchise, and I'm sure Chris Evans also had a bit of that effect.
Yeah. Chris Evans made a good.
And I'm very glad you
Yeah.
mentioned that, Tom, because let's use that to segue to the next
Nicely
topic here,
into
which has to do with women in Marvel.
you read my
Because,
mind.
yeah, many women were brought in by the likes of Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans, even Chris Pratt. They brought all of the ladies, and then the people at Marvel decided there's so many women watching Marvel. We need to make it female centric so that they'll keep watching and bring even more. That's what they did. And then that's when all of those women left again. Now, you would have thought they would have learned from this, but evidently not. The big hope for Marvel going forward right now is the X-Men. And everyone is kind of like hoping that they're going to get their upcoming X-Men reboot right. They're teasing it already. We've already seen like some hints of or references to the X-Men even prior to Deadpool. There were X-Men references even in the Marvels, which is an indicator of what may come, because this is something that's been going on. And bounding into comics, they did a write-up about this. And Tom, you tweeted it as well here, because the rumor is that the upcoming X-Men is going to be rather female-centric.
Well, not only is it going to be female centric, according to the report, they're looking for a writer who can expertly balance comedy and drama. Because, when I think X-Men, I think funny, focus on female characters, as you were just pointing out. And they will introduce new characters, ones that haven't been in live action before, alongside the main ones we all know. Now, that one I don't have so much of a problem with. But yeah, so this comes from Daniel RPK as the original
from
source.
Daniel Lichtman, who is a known scooper. And to add to that, WDW Pro dropped a video shortly before we went live here. I skimmed it, but from what I understand, one of their priorities is going to be Storm and Rogue. And with Storm, there's a Wakanda connections. They're going to kind of try to make her the new leader of Wakanda, I guess, maybe.
Rogue was
traditionally
already
in
one of
comics,
the
she married T'Challa. Like that's
and
what it was originally.
and Rogue was already one of the central characters in the first 2 or so X-Men movies.
Definitely the first one, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, this is coming off of what Chris Hemsworth was just apologizing for as far as the humor stuff. And as far as the female stuff, yeah, X-Men has always been pretty well balanced with its male-female ratio, but are we surprised by this? I mean, this is just basically par for the course when it comes to Disney, and it just solidifies what we were saying when it comes to Deadpool being an island in a sea of piss.
Well, to
And
a degree,
Brutus is
yeah,
just
I
like,
mean,
I'm glad I quit watching this shit.
Exactly,
Like,
bro. Exactly. When they see stuff like this, I just think to myself, bro, I'm glad I moved on. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
Yep.
I won't give a shit, bro. Do it.
yeah.
Do
But
it.
again, Disney only knows how to sell to girls, so that's what they're gonna do. The sad part is that there's a lot of female X-Men characters that male audiences would show up for if they're done well. It's all about the execution and also a little bit of the sexiness, which Disney is afraid
Oh,
of
it's a
doing.
lot about the sexiness. I'll tell you this right now. I do this show weekly. I don't know if you're aware of it, called Toxic Femininity, where me and 3 or more women generally sit down and I just mainly listen to them talk about stuff. And you know what? This is how they gauge this stuff. The Warfare for Ungentlemanly movie that came out this last weekend with Henry Cavill and all the hot men in it.
Mhm.
This is how they rate the movie. It sucks because none of them took their shirts off. I shit you not. That was their rating for it, basically, in a nutshell.
There
Like they
you go.
thought the movie was okay, but to them, you got all these hot men, not one shirt comes off. So if you want to act like men are all about like the male gaze bullshit, nuh-uh. Women are worse. That was my whole point with the Thor story before. Do you think she watched Thor because she's like, oh, Thor, I'm into mythology. I think I'll check this out. No, it's because she saw Chris Hemsworth and she's like, I want me some of that. I'm going to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because like Paul just said, it's like, oh, I like this color. Exactly.
You know, my mom, she doesn't know anything about superhero, but she always watches, you know, Aquaman and things with Jason Momoa because she thinks she thinks he's handsome, you know.
We know Cabrutus's mom's type. She likes the biker boys, huh?
Yeah, I mean, when I had a really long hair, she was like, "Oh, I loved your hair. Why did you cut it?" You know, I mean, she really
Yeah.
liked this.
Yeah. See, women like that. Yeah, that's you're spot on with that. But yeah, so again, what is the point of this, Andre? I mean, just more par for the course for Disney, or how are you seeing this?
I'm afraid it's more par for the course. It only goes to show that the big problem here probably is Kevin Feige, because it was Kevin Feige who bragged years ago, before the MCU even started. He was bragging that, oh, in a few years, more than half of the heroes of the MCU are going to be women. That came from him. You may blame Victoria Alonso and stuff like that, but I think that he was as much to blame, and it's still going to carry on, because who knows how many activists are still there, but that the activists are being listened to, that's a management problem. And now, despite all of the massive female-driven Marvel failures of the last few years, only this year we have Madam Web. And I guarantee you it was never going to do good, but it flopped as badly as it did because it was female-driven. This
And
was
they
the one thing
they
that was...
cast 3 gorgeous women and made them underage teenagers as opposed to adults. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing like Marvel fans would be happy to see some of their favorite female heroes on the screen wearing the costumes that got people to buy those books in the first place, which had big, breasted women, godly-like figures, beautiful male gaze who also kicked ass. Guys would be there for that. I mean, and then you pair them with, you know, a balanced male counterpart, whether it's a love interest or just a buddy cop situation. You do it well, you make it, you know, fun and adventurous, people will show up. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, if we have these female characters and we want to sort of appeal to a female audience and also appeal to the male audience that made these female characters in comics worthy of actually entertaining or exploring, we might as well do this as authentically as we possibly can to get them in. The fact of the matter is that I only contend that the female-led movies that Marvel has put out recently are just objectively bad, and also they write the characters to be bitchy instead of sassy and fun. And nobody wants to see that. We want to see someone sassy and fun if it's going to be that angle, or we want to see someone
Do they know the
nurturing and
difference?
endearing. Yeah.
Do
No.
they know the difference?
No. Not on Disney, because they only know one angle right now.
No,
Yeah.
and Love and Thunder is a good example of that too, because they don't even get kids right?
Nope.
Because they had the whole thing with you literally have Thor with his own real life daughter, and their chemistry sucks at the end of that movie. Right? It's like, why are you making her annoying? You should be making her enduring. Right? Like, this is stupid. But anyway, speaking of women, we got Michelle in the chat from Toxic Femininity and Force of Light. How you doing? And she says Disney could make 8 rom-coms and dramas that women would actually be interested in for the price of one MCU movie. Actually, they could probably make 20. I'd be willing to bet.
10 million a flick at 200 million a pop.
We'll even say 10 just to be nice and give them 20.
Let's say that they can make 8 for the price of the initial shoot and 5 more for the price of the reshoots.
Right?
Yeah.
The reshoots, yeah. Because as we're seeing, and this is, you know, we're joking, but we're not, because that's the biggest problem right now, I would say, that they have over there. And it wasn't a problem maybe before when they were making all the money. When they're not making money now, you cannot shoot these movies twice. And that's basically what they're doing now with this Captain America Falcon movie. And boy, oh boy, I've been dropping some stuff on that. I don't know if you saw that, Andre, and that's been looking really bad.
They're cutting costs in the costume department, and I mean, it's weird to see them cutting some costs, but they have to since they're shooting this movie again. And remember, it's not just a reshoot; they had to rewrite the script to reshoot. It's not like, oh, we're going back and we're shooting the same scene again. It's like, no, this scene isn't working. We got to rewrite it. We got to reshoot it. That's 2 additional expenses covering hundreds, if not thousands, of people. It's a lot of money.
Okay, so look at this here. This is the new Falcon. So let's get this straight. They took, they took Anthony Mackie's Falcon, made him Captain America, and they brought in some new guy now to play Falcon, a new Falcon.
Is it?
But he
Wait,
still
is it
has
Falcon
his
or is it
wings.
So
Conqueror?
now we have
America.
to specify that we have a black Captain America, but white Falcon. Because make no mistake about this dude right here. This isn't Falcon. This is White Falcon. And White Falcon is a downgrade. Because the real Falcon is Anthony Mackie's Falcon.
Yeah.
He was good as Falcon.
He was
Yeah,
fantastic.
Falcon, yeah.
Well, not only that, I would argue if you take away the X-Men, Falcon is probably the 3rd or 4th most well-known black Marvel superhero.
Except
Right?
when he lectures white people about being white.
Well, that's just in the movies. I don't know if he even did that ever in the comics. And that's another thing is the movies brought him up to a new level that he'd never been before, even though he was part of, Marvel for years. But that's not the worst of it, kids. I haven't been able to 100% confirm this, but I think it's real. Like I'm like 90% sure. This is our Red Hulk, guys. Or should I say the Red Bulk?
Jesus, it better not be.
That's a really bad concept.
Is this Red Hulk like the
Yep.
from
Yeah, General Ross turns into
Allegedly,
Red
yes.
Hulk. Yeah.
With boobs?
Jeez, bro.
Okay, so what had happened was, and I got this from the same place that I got the other picture I just had, and I wasn't sure about the other picture at first, but then it started going around with that same image, and I believe this similar posed image in the background of a McDonald's thing for a Happy Meal deal. And if you look at this here, you can see at the bottom here, this down here makes it look like it's probably a standee for a theater.
Oh yeah.
See what I'm saying? Or make it
part of
McDonald's
their
or something like
product
that.
Displays.
Yeah. So I think it's legit. Island in a sea of piss, kids.
Yeah, because if you see like a picture of the Green Hulk that you have in the MCU, at least, that you had up until recently, he's not going to look that amazing either. It's going to kind of look like that. I mean, he's a little bit chunky, not too muscular, a little bit gorilla-like. This is supposed to be a very old man. More specifically, Harrison Ford hulked out. I wish I could say it ain't no way, but it does seem a little bit too true for comfort. It does.
Yeah. We'll see. Because this looks bad, but X-Men all women, or should we say X-women? Seems to be the case. Let's see what you guys are saying about this stuff out in the chat. Let's get to some super chats here. What do you guys say?
I'll see that before we move on.
Let's see here. I want to try to get the one specific to this stuff. Okay, I think this goes off of this super chat here. Callum Lyle says, I might start a cartoon called Everyone Hates Mindy. It's about self-loathing loser called Mindy Kaling who wishes she was white. And then it goes on to say with another 5, thank you, Callum. And Mindy gets picked on by cartoon characters, and of course, X-Men will be female-centric because Kevin Feige hates himself for being born male. There might be something to that.
I think it's more he's trying to score points with women who think that his success is undeserved.
He's trying to
because he's
get
a male.
laid. Yeah.
Are you saying that Kevin Feige is a male feminist?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, or at least thinks himself as one. Whether he acts as himself as one legitimately is up for debate, because in Hollywood, not a lot of people act the way that they announce themselves. They're like politicians.
Yeah, good point.
And then we got Chaos Sonic 1 who says, so Feige learned nothing. Or not again. Yeah, no. He won't. He never will. Packing Protons says, also, I don't want to be that guy, but spoilers, Mufasa lives at the... This is in reference to the Mufasa Lion King bit. Yeah,
Mhm.
another reason why prequels are silly sometimes. You already know where this is going to go. Let's see here. Then we got Jason Webster, who sends in Australia 10 and says, the 1st of May is the 30th anniversary of the untimely death of the great Formula One driver of all time, Ayrton Senna. And I think you just brought this up in the back, didn't you, Cabrutus? This year, Netflix will release a drama series based on his life and stellar career. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he even had a deal with Sega. So you had Ayrton Senna Racing.
Senna, when people talk about Brazil and Brazilian athletes, Brazilian sportsmen, people always mention Pele, and it's well deserved because Pele is a legend. Everybody knows that, right? He's the king of soccer. But Senna, man, that guy, he was in the very least, he was as much as legend as Pele, and he is really, he's a here in Japan. For those who don't know, I'm living in Japan now. Here in Japan, he is like, people love him here. Everybody remembers him. And whenever I think about Cena, I was so young, very young. I was like 2-3 years old at the time of his death. But it makes me very sad because we lost the greatest pilot of all time. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion, And yeah, 3 years, man. It's time flies, I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic, fantastic driver. I watch F1 and just some unbelievable classic driving in very difficult conditions, especially in the rain. The man was a master driving in rain.
And he always had like the worst version cars, but he still managed to win. It was crazy. He was out of this world. He was so ahead of the curve compared to the other guys. No, it's
Yeah. So kudos to Senna, one of the all-time greats.
Now, wasn't as good as Danica Patrick, but we can move on.
Yeah.
That's an inside driver joke. Sorry.
I've met her a few times.
You really?
Yes. Before she actually started getting into the bigger racing, she was doing stuff associated with go-karts, and I had family members that were go-kart racers, and that's how I met her. Because everybody was saying she's really good and she's going to be huge. And eventually she did.
Well, she was huge because the sport really wanted to get a woman in it, but she wasn't the right woman.
And Actioncom has a question for you, Script. Does Sorkin have the clout to make Social Network 2, particularly in this day and age?
He's kind of lost his clout before this day and age. There was a script he wrote about the New York Stock Exchange and its connections to the Toronto Stock Exchange, which was really, really good, but no one in Hollywood wanted it. And it was kind of baffling. And he hasn't really done much since, aside from the fact that I think he's doing a TV movie adaptation of his first screenplay, A Few Good Men. But yeah, he hasn't done anything in a while other than Being the Ricardos was, I think, the last thing he did. And that was like 3-4 years ago.
That wasn't great.
Yeah. So I don't think, no, I think I'm a fan of his in some regard, but a lot of his characters sound the same and his approach to dialogue is inauthentic, even though it sounds good. I've seen his masterclass and I'm like, this does not help any screenwriter get better at writing dialogue.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah. Well, he says that nobody in real life ever starts a sentence with the word "damn it," and I'm like, you've never been around a construction site. Like he listens to the wrong people. He's got a David E. Kelly-ism about him, which is that he's in a bubble of a certain class of type of workers and executives and whatnot, and he doesn't understand how to relate to the general audience anymore. He's kind of pushed himself out that way. And I think because he's lost that connection, and he's also lost that that hunger that he had throughout the 90s, he's kind of just coasting at this point.
Yeah,
Well, even David E. Kelly, I would put up Bochco and Fisher's L.A. Law against.
Yeah, like David E. Kelly is good in those procedurals, but whenever he tries to do something else, like he wrote the comedy that is rumored to have led Robin Williams towards his untimely demise because
What?
yes, so he did what's called The Crazy Ones, which is about an ad company. But it's not, but it's a successful ad company, which means that all the problems are we got to get the account. And it had Robin Williams in it playing a top dog ad exec. And the thing is, nobody goes to see a Robin Williams movie to see him as a top dog. He's a comedian and comedic actor. You go to see him as an underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his return to television. And the only reason he did is because it's David E. Kelly, who had all these hits. He had Boston Legal, Boston Public. He had all these other procedurals that were good. He had The Practice.
Well, the guy wasn't a slacker.
No, he wasn't a slacker. But the thing is, he doesn't know how to connect to the proper audiences with the genre unless it's about corporate, big, wealthy people that he can't relate to the common man type of thing.
Yeah,
like every single show he does is about people that have where money is not a problem in their lives. It's all about issues or getting more money.
In other words, he has kind of like gotten where many get eventually. They lose touch with where they came from, and that's when they no longer can produce.
No longer connect. Except for David E. Kelly never was in touch with those people anyways, because he always did procedurals about lawyers and doctors and things. When he did Boston Public, that show failed because he couldn't understand teachers and what their real struggles were. He just used general terms. And listen, the guy's married to Michelle Pfeiffer, so you got to give him props to that. But he just doesn't know how to connect. And when I saw The Crazy Ones, I'm like, you can't do it this way. If you do The Crazy Ones, what you do is you have Robin Williams lose his position at this agency and he has to start a brand new one from the ground up and compete with his old agency. People would watch that because it could be funny and desperate and all the things we care about because we want to be endeared by a guy like Robin Williams. We don't want to see him struggling with, we just need to land the account because if we lose the account, then we just lose the account. Like there's no consequences when you have an ad company that's got 4 locations throughout the world and is making millions upon millions of dollars a month. It's like, well, where are the stakes there? It's boring. But if you have a guy that's like, I can't pay my rent. I want to see my kid. And I need to get this account or else I can't pay alimony. Like real problems that have to do with I'm going to get evicted and I'm trying to rebuild a relationship with this ad agency that hates me because I botched an ad that got me fired from my main one.
Well, look at Mad Men.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I think it was trying to be comedy Mad Men.
Like they're starting up. It's like it's just you and one other guy, and it's like we got to put a commercial together for McDonald's, but they don't have the account for McDonald's, so we got to win the account for McDonald's. And if we don't, we're going to be out on our butts, and we're going to be, not doing the stuff that we love, and we're not going to be able to see the families we have. We can't pay for our kids' college schools. Financial strife is always an easy ploy to get people to relate and appreciate you. And David E. Kelly never did that. And what's funny is that he was hired by Warner Brothers to do the pilot for Wonder Woman. And what did he do with Wonder Woman? He made her the head of a huge advertising company that sells dolls of her. And it's like, okay. And so she's got all these resources to her disposal to fight crime. So she Bruce Wayne'd him. He Bruce Wayne'd her. And then it's like, well, now there's nothing interesting about Wonder Woman anymore. She's just a corporate exec head, elite class. Again, elite class people. Again, general audiences aren't really interested in watching elite.
Well, he does what he's good at, right?
Well, he does what he knows. Whether or not he's good at it has been now debatable over the last 15 years. And same for Sorkin. In the last 10 years since The Social Network, he hasn't really kind of blown up anymore because the Steve Jobs movie didn't do as well.
Both of us would be completely unhappy with having either of their careers.
No, I would love to have his career, but I'd love to just talk to them about their process and why they can't connect with the average person and how they got there so that I don't fall into that.
They got there by being successful, Script.
Oh, I know about that part. I'm just talking about how they lose that connection.
Right.
But meanwhile, let's move on because we have a few more super chats. One is from Jason Webster who says Disney is impotent creatively. Yeah, ain't that the truth? And moving on from there, Horseradish Power says for £2, live action Black Cauldron, do it, Disney. If they did it right, I'd be interested in that. If they did it right. Yeah, there you go.
I wish they just released the 4K version. They've had a scan of it forever in 4K.
Yeah, that'd be
But,
something as well.
Taryn the Black says Jack Carr might be the next Clancy. Yeah, well, that's this goes back, I think, to our author and book talk earlier. Yeah, we used to have authors that were kind of like the stars in their own right. Like now it's like, yeah, unless it's a Stephen King adaptation.
John Grisham.
Yeah, John. Well, yeah, he used to be pretty big too, Clancy.
Well, he was the one that kind of replaced Stephen King for a while there,
Yeah.
because again, Stephen King still puts out books, but he's not getting adapted as frequently as he used to.
No, and they're just trying to remake his big ones now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And then Callum Lyle sends in 5 and says, ignore that what horseradish shed, because a long time ago I wanted that, but done by Del Toro, but not anymore. Yeah. And then we got let's see here. Corridor or Mario Trillo says also Corridor Crew discovered Disney's old camera tech. It was pre-blue screen and it worked amazing, worth a look. Oh yeah, they had a lot of techniques that went away after years and years.
Well,
yeah.
they're too
It's a
expensive
great
to
video.
replicate. Yeah. Paul and I were talking about this, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Great video.
Yep.
And then Horseradish Power says, live action Steamboat Willie, do it, Disney. Well, wasn't Steamboat Willie actually a parody of what was it, Chaplin or
Buster Keaton, you think? Like
Buster Keaton, one of those. Yeah, Steamboat. I think it was Steamboat Bill or something like that. Wasn't it?
Yes. There's another Steamboat thing. You know what's interesting is they also did Alice and something. Like Disney had an Alice and something.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland, yeah.
No, not Alice in Wonderland. It was just Alice, who is a young girl, live action, integrated with a cartoon.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I've been watching them. They've got one, Alice and the Cannibals.
That is really dicey.
Yeah, I watched that. I went, okay, that's interesting. I wonder how that would go over now.
Well, I mean, it's on YouTube now, so we can look at the comic section.
Yeah.
If you didn't turn it off already.
Yeah.
Those are now public domain.
And then ActionCom on that note says, Andre, give me good news. Did they abandon 20,000 Leagues and Captain Nemo project? If you want to waste that abomination, look up Captain Hook meets Captain Nemo clip.
I think I'll refrain from looking that up. There's been a couple of those in development. The BBC one, I think no more came of it, but the Disney one is still in development. It just changed ownership. So there is one that's still in development, but I don't recall which one that was right now in this second.
And then we got Jason Webster again, who says Disney continuing its recent tradition of producing films nobody asked for and nobody wanted and failing miserably at the box office. Yep, exactly. Par for the course, as we said. And then Malice Flair says what is this, 50? We've seen this before. I'm trying to remember. Is it Philippine?
Yeah, it's like Thai bot or something like that. I don't recall.
It has the unsung hero song "If No Fail." Are you talking about Mufasa? Is that the one?
Maybe he's talking about the soundtrack for The Fall Guy. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh yeah, The Fall Guy. That's what that's from.
Well, it has.
Yeah.
It has one of the best songs from Kiss.
But does it have the original theme song? Because that was actually a hit.
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't know what the original theme song was.
Script? Do you remember hearing the original theme song when you watched it? Anywhere, even buried in the background?
I did not hear it in the movie. They used a lot of contemporary film songs in here. I did not hear Lee Majors doing his unsung heroes, but he does call stunt guys the unsung heroes. So,
missed opportunity there.
Unless maybe it was playing during the end credit scene. I can't remember.
That's what I was wondering, if they just played it at the end or something, or if they did like an updated version. But anyway, we got Tomac here sending in $20. Says, well, now that Cabrutus is here, I ask, please sign the petition and save Stellar Blade. Cabrutus.
Yeah, do it.
And while we got a moment here, go ahead and give your thoughts on the recent Stellar Blade stuff, and if you have any updates on DEI Detected.
Yeah, sure. So Stellar Blade, I have yet to play it. I don't have a PlayStation 5. I had to sell mine before coming to Japan. So yeah, unfortunately, I I don't have it right now, so I cannot play the game.
You probably didn't miss out on all that much. Maybe consider getting something else. That's up to you, of course. But yeah.
Well, the way I see it, Stellar Blade looks like a really good game. You know, I've seen gameplays, I've seen many like clips of it, and it looks like a great game. It looks like, I don't know for sure because I didn't play it myself, but I mean, for the way I see it on the videos and this kind of stuff, it looks like a great game. And well, I think it is unfortunate, the real problem here. Let's say if they showed Eve, the name of the protagonist is Eve. That's the name of the girl. If they have showed Eve with those clothes, those skin clothes, since the beginning, nobody would have a problem because she still looks beautiful. It's still a great, great looking character. Nobody's complaining about that. The thing that really gets us is the lie, because like a week before the release, Shift Up, which is the developer of the game, mentioned it to everybody. Man, they claimed that the game would not have any kind of censorship, and that really made people excited for the game. That really made people think, yo, we took a victory. We have this victory, They are not going to censor the game. Finally, looks like games can, get back to be normal again, to be good again, without this political agendas influencing the way the character looks, the story goes on, this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, some people but they censored it. And my personal opinion is that it was Sony's doing and not Shift Up doing. I mean, at least from at least in my perception, unless some new information shows up. I mean, the way I see it, it was more coming from Sony itself, which is the publisher of the game, than from Shift Up, which is the developer. But it's unfortunate nonetheless. So this is why Grumps created the Free Star Blade campaign. Just to make it clear, this campaign doesn't have the intention to boycott Stellar Blade. We are not trying to say people, hey, do not buy Stellar Blade, do not play Stellar Blade. That's not about it. The campaign just aims to to draw attention from the publisher, which is Sony, and Shift Up, which is the developer, to the fact that there are many players out there who are very dissatisfied with their with what they did, with the lies that Sony and Shift Up told us. We just want to play the game you guys presented us like weeks ago. That's all we want. We want the changes to be reverted, or at the very least to add the skins like they were as an optional thing, like as an option. I mean, you guys can keep those new skins, that you guys created for the day one patch, but please bring back the other ones before you guys changing everything. That's the main petition goal. This is why it's called Free Stellar Blade. And right now, I mean, the last time I checked yesterday, it had more than 50,000 signatures. When we reach a certain milestone, I don't know if I am allowed to say, so this is why I'm gonna keep it as a secret. I talked to Grumps about it, but there's a certain milestone that we gotta reach before printing those signatures and physically taking them to the offices of those companies. I volunteer myself to do the Sony's part because I am living in Tokyo, and I can print those signatures and take to the Sony's office for Grumps. And he really liked the idea. And for those who think that this signature stuff won't work, believe me, guys, it has an impact, okay? I remember back in 2016, I was a Nostarios player. Nostarios was a vanilla WoW, classic WoW private server, and Blizzard shut down the server. Grumps made a petition, just like he is making with Stellar Blade. And I have signed that petition though, because I was a player. I signed it because I was an All-Star Wars player. And he took it to Blizzard. And guess what? Less than 2 years after it, I think it was actually less than a year after it. I'm not sure. But anyway, Blizzard announced the Classic WoW servers, So we're just trying to make an impact here. We're just trying to draw their attention and make them remember, hey, we gamers, we are not, fools. We are not a bunch of fools. We are not silly. We notice when you guys fool us, when you guys lie to us. Please don't do it. Respect our money. And everybody was like praising the game. Everybody was like hyping the game so much. We made this game be the top selling game on the PlayStation, the whole world. So please, we just want the game that you guys showed us in the beginning. That's all we're asking. And that's how the Freestyler Blade campaign is about,
Well, thank you for that update. Because, yeah, I'm not somebody who really follows the gaming stuff, so I had no clue what this was really all about, to be honest with you. I just know that there's a hit out on Grums over this whole thing now. It started, I think, at 20, and then it went to 30. Now it's up to 50. So,
yeah. I mean, oh man, sorry. I remember this. I gotta be honest with you guys. This bounty that they have put on Grum's head, this subject, I just saw that there was a guy on Twitter who offered like $20,000 for someone to make Grum's disappear. And the guy's Twitter profile disappeared. The guy is nowhere to be seen now. But after there's this streamer, I gotta be honest, I never heard about her. I don't even know who she is. I have no idea really. But she raised the bounty to 30,000, and now even Asmongold is talking about it. No, it's crazy. Some people are claiming that she just destroyed her streaming career, and that's all I know about it. I'm sorry, I cannot go really in depth about this subject, but it's crazy. It pretty much shows what kind of people we are dealing with. They are authoritarian. They do not tolerate when you disagree to them. You guys are familiar with that, right? It's the same thing in the movies side of this stuff.
Well, I thought the terms were the bounty for that and to give a certain character bigger breasts and boobs, and all three of those things have to be achieved. So that sounds like a joke to me, even though I think it's kind of serious to still warrant a bounty on anybody.
Yeah, what if somebody, that's the thing, is like, look, could I believe this person was most likely kidding? Yes. The problem you have here is that these cycles will take somebody seriously.
Right.
What if something were to happen? Is this individual going to take responsibility then? That's the thing you have going on here is, yeah, you may have been joking about that, but that's a lot of money, and some crazy mofo might take that seriously.
In my opinion, they know that. That's exactly why they say this kind of stuff. They say this as a joke, because they want to use the joke argument to defend themselves against accusations. But what I think that they really want to happen is that, let me say this, and maybe a crazy guy out there will do that because I actually want this to happen. That's what I think.
It's a lot like
that's
swatting,
speculation,
if you
and
ask
that
me.
speculation in itself is also dangerous. Like, that's the other part too. We should not be inferring what people want until we start seeing actions to display that. Because again, one of the aspects of YouTube, of social media, is that you gain a lot of traction for having like shock jock takes. Right. And that's something you also have to keep in mind, because again, even with shock jocks back in the days of radio, some crazy person would take them seriously and try and do that thing. And that's why they got the term shock jock. So if you are a regular person and you're trying to encourage the idea that we should infer certain actions from people based on what they said when they're in the context of being, shocking, triggering, hot taking, whatever, that's actually fueling the fire for the crazies to actually justify what they did by following into them. It's really, you should be saying, we don't believe that you're serious. We should be mocking you, making fun of you for trying to say that type of thing, so that if there is an unstable person out there, they at least have that to go to that, and hopefully maybe that will discourage or dissuade them. But to assume just because this person is doing something to get clicks and views that they're authentic to that, that's also dangerous, because now you're feeding into the very fire that could actually incite someone to trigger and do that. So again, I always think it's very better to err on the side of caution, as opposed to just saying, yeah, we think that this person's a horrible human being. We think them saying this is terrible. It's like, you should say that. And then you should say, we also think they have a terrible sense of humor. We also think that this type of thing to joke about is uncalled for. It's not appropriate. The fact that they would say this shows how desperate they are just to get attention, so that we're talking about them, and then just dismiss them so that they can go on to the obscure thing of apathy, as opposed to further fueling those fires.
Well, what I was saying to the whole effect of, and that's where I was coming from, is it could, and if this individual was actually joking, that's then upon them to come out and say, no, I'm actually joking, don't take that seriously, or something along those lines. But it's just a bad move, if you ask me. I mean, it does borderline illegal.
Yeah.
And it does sometimes warrant investigations into these kind of things when people, because you don't know how serious they are, or, you know, that's the other thing. Like you guys were just saying, like, if they're kidding, then they should probably say that eventually.
And you know what? I just want to add this. Imagine if it was someone from, let's say, our side, someone from my community, someone from Graham's community, all this, one of us, let's put it that way, right? One of us making this kind of jokes with this very same tone against one of those people. Can you guys imagine what the outlets would do, what they would say about us?
They take it very seriously, yeah.
Like believe me, guys, I have many people from big outlets, not only gaming related outlets, like the mainstream media, they trying to contact me, and imagine what they would say about me if I made a joke like that. That's
you'd be the biggest target right now, because
so here's a piece of advice from someone who's involved with big media in the past, especially American media. Trust no one, because they all come in with an agenda. I was involved with a CNN interview, and I was utterly shocked with how the reporter framed the interview from the beginning. And not just that, even if you get what you think is a good interview, you will never get a proper edit out of it, like ever. In fact, one of the interesting things, although it was ironic, Rossman, who was a New York Macintosh and iPhone repair shop, Louis Rossman, who was trying to fight for freedom of to be able to right to repair. He was interviewed by the CBC, and you could debate whether the CBC, doesn't come in with an agenda, but he was shocked that it was the only report that was ever done on what he was trying to do with right to repair that was accurate. In all the interviews he ever did, and I've been involved with American interviews, you will never get a proper day in court from them. Don't do them. Like, turn every single one down. That's my advice.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry. I am just ignoring them, but I appreciate your advice. Thank you for your advice, and I'm glad to know that looks like I'm doing the right thing, because the things you are mentioning, I'm just ignoring them for the exactly same reason. I do not trust them, and I know that they are approaching me like they are friendly, and hey, we just want to share your story. We just want to hear your side. And I think to myself, yes, you guys want to hear my side, and you guys want to frame and portray it, the way, in an appropriate way to your guys' agenda. That's what I think.
Speaking of CBC, look at the way they included you. I heard they included you in one of their reports with regards to Sweet Baby Inc. And completely. I contacted them. I tried to contact them. They said, look, Do you want a proper perspective on this entire DEI sweet baby thing? And the way you treated Cabrutus was actually wrong, incorrect, and not fair. Let me set the record straight. No one from the CBC ever contacted me back.
You
Didn't
sent
matter
their email or?
No, I phoned them, and I also
Okay.
emailed their ombudsperson. Plus, I tried to contact them over Twitter. Also, the individual reporter over Twitter. I never got a response from anybody.
You might have
Yeah,
to
but
go
you know,
down to 120 John Street and just knock on the door.
I mean, this story, I mean, this thing that you're telling me right now, it doesn't surprise me at all. No, I know that these people act the same. It's the same thing in Brazil, it's the same thing. It's exactly. You guys are familiar with the modus operandi term, right? You guys know what this means, right? It means that it is just a default default how can I call it? It's a
Perspective
default
bias?
behavior. No. It's a default behavior.
Yeah.
It's how they act. This kind of people, like progressive people. I don't want to make this become political, but I mean, this kind of people, journalists. We know that they have a political side. We know that they have,
Absolutely.
they work for an agenda, and people that belongs to this, worldview, let's put it that way, they act the same thing. There's a pattern, and it's the same thing in Brazil. They do the same thing, and if you go there and try to talk to them, hey, why you did this, why you did that, I didn't say this and that, they will just ignore you. You guys are, I mean, again, I don't want to make this political, but I'll mention the guy. You guys know Bolsonaro, right? You guys know
Yes.
Bolsonaro. Yeah. Okay. He started becoming popular in Brazil because a TV channel interviewed him, and they did exactly the same thing. They asked him a question about um, gay people and black people. And when they asked him, hey, would you be okay if your son married another man? He answered that I would never be okay with this because I'm a Christian and this kind of stuff, I mean, that's what he said. And what about your son married a black woman? And he said that I would be okay because I mean, I'm not racist, this kind of stuff. They switched the answers, when that they did it, when they showed the actual interview in the live TV, in the open TV channel, they made the question about the black woman, but they have put his answer to the man marry another man question. So it looked like he was against black woman, and people started calling him racist, and he sued the TV channel, that made that. And so the judge asked them for the entire tape of the interview. Suddenly, this tape disappeared, and they took the interview out of air. They claimed that they didn't have the resources, the source of the tape. An accident happened. They didn't have the tape anymore. And that's why Bolsonaro started becoming famous in Brazil. Did you guys know that? I bet not, right? So I mean, that's the pattern right there. That's what
That's
they do.
news to me. I mean, that was
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
extreme editing right there, switching the answers.
yeah, I mean, people outside of Brazil don't know this story, but that's how Bolsonaro started becoming famous in Brazil. That was back in 2014 or 13. And then he started becoming famous until he became president in 2018, So they do this, they will frame and try to portray you
That's
the
not
way they
framing.
want.
That is illegal.
That is illegal, and that's why they disappear with the tape. They just, I mean, they probably just destroyed the original tape, and
Wow.
they did, bro. This is that's a real story. I mean, it's cause you guys don't know Brazilian Portuguese, but man, I wish you guys could see. I wish you guys could see. I wish we had some good English source to tell you guys this story because it's fascinating, And yeah, this is exactly why this is when I started learning that you cannot trust I mean, big outlets and those journalists, they, yeah, that's when that was when Brazilians started noticing this, started
Yeah.
learning this. Yeah. So
Okay.
this
Yeah,
is why I
that
don't
was
trust them.
Yeah.
probably pretty major.
All right.
Insane.
Yeah, Brazil is wide, bro. Well, I mean, we have a common say Brazil, which is Brazil isn't for amateurs. It is not. It's, I mean, yeah, o Brasil não é para amadores. That's a common saying in Brazil because it's wild, man. You guys have no idea. It's crazy there.
Wow. Well, I mean, apart from the crime and things like that, it's
Mhm.
and then the favelas and everything else. It's a passionate country. I have a funny story. My business partner is Brazilian. They went to a hockey game. So a whole bunch of their relatives came up for a bar mitzvah to Canada for Flavio's son's bar mitzvah. But one of the things that they did while they were in Canada, they went to a junior hockey game or like like his son's hockey game or something. Like it's just a small rink. I don't know if you've ever been to a hockey game.
Unfortunately, not. I love hockey. I love the fights, but I never had the opportunity to watch
So
it
these
live.
people had never seen a hockey game, and Canadians
Mhm.
are boisterous in a hockey arena, but I mean, we can also sit on our hands when we're seeing our kids playing and yelling at the referees. They didn't care who scored. The entire Brazilian contingent, they brought vuvuzelas,
Oh, vuvuzelas.
flags.
Yeah.
They brought flags of Brazil, and they were up the entire time, and they were dancing the samba, and they were cheering every goal, and everybody in the arena were going, "Who are these people?" And they were just having a blast. So
They
there you
were
go.
they were they were cheering like it was a soccer match, right? I mean,
Correct.
if you ask Brazilians to watch any kind of sport, they will cheer like it was a soccer. That's what we do.
But
Yeah,
that was a lot of
that's
goodwill. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely, man.
The stuck-up
That's a lot of
Canadians were going, "What the hell is going on with them? Stop enjoying yourselves. Can't you see that there's a fight I need to watch?"
That actually
I know
sounds like
that
a very Norwegian attitude as well. I might add.
yeah. I know that Bret Hart he has a hockey it called the Hitmans. I want this jersey, this hockey jersey someday. Yeah. I think it's a kids team, like the Hitman. So yeah, I want this. I just want to mention this.
Yeah, indeed. And so yeah, let's move on a little bit here.
Mhm.
So anything
All right.
else to mention in the world of gaming that has stood out recently, Cabrutus, with Warhammer, anything like that?
Uh, you know what? If I start talking about Warhammer here, nobody will talk anymore. So it's better if I know there
Well,
are
no,
other
well, Kim,
subjects.
the floor is yours. Let's hear your
No,
take on Warhammer for the moment.
bro. It really hurts me because Warhammer is like my favorite setting. My favorite franchise. I just love those Space Marines. I love the lore. And I think it's. I always say that we gotta learn to move on. I have a friend. He used to be a huge Star Wars fan. This friend of mine. He was such a huge Star Wars fan. And when he finally learned to move on, like he finally learned that okay, Star Wars is not going to be good again. He just give up, and he's way more happy now. He found other hobbies. I always tell people, do not be afraid to move on. There are lots of different new franchises out there just waiting for you to discover them. Actually, good stuff. If they destroy something you love, it's sad, it sucks, it will hurt, but you gotta move on. Stop giving them money. Stop caring about it. And at the same time, I say this, I make this speech. It's so hard for me to do the same for Warhammer, bro, because I just love it, and I guess I'll have to move on. I mean, of course, I will keep loving. The Space Marines and this kind of stuff because there are still good parts about the lore. But still, I mean, it's so unfortunate, and the worst part is that Games Workshop is lying, I mean, there has never ever been female custodes. I have wrote an article about this situation on theidetected.com, talking about it's a very simple and article, but all the information is there, Games Workshop lying to its own customers, saying that there always been female custodes. Bro, it's a lie. There's never been, people who know the lore know that, right? And there were some rumors saying that it was because of Amazon. They took Amazon money and they accepted retconning the lore because of that. Because Amazon wanted to have like female space marines, and they know that if they did that, it would be way worse. If you guys are thinking that it is ugly now, just wait until they announce female space marines. You guys, bro, shitstorm, like the biggest ever. But I mean, I wouldn't dub it, and I just think it's sad, and guess I gotta move on now. No, I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. We all feel your pain. Gamers are now feeling what movie fans have been feeling for a decade already, and comic book fans even longer than that. I mean, comic book fans, they were patient zero here. They were the first ones experimented with. Like, we're going to systematically destroy everything you care about. Movie fans were next, and of course, it came for gamers some time ago, but now it's when it's getting real. And even fans in high places aren't too happy about it. I mean, that Park Place is reporting rumor Henry Cavill not happy with Warhammer's introduction of female custodes. Amazon wanted female space marines. So I'm inclined to believe that this is something that came from Amazon, that Amazon had said that, hey, we're going to diversify this to hell and back. So it's going to be really helpful if you can diversify the source material as well, because that's going to make it so much easier for us. Here are some blank paychecks in addition to the ones that we'll be signing over anyway, just to do the series. I absolutely believe that that there is some kind of motivation going on there.
From a network executive perspective, these kinds of suggestions have been going on forever, and out of context requests for changes is kind of legendary in Hollywood. So you could, I mean, more than likely you have some executive who knows nothing about the property and is taking a look at it, and they will just go, hey, can you just make this one person, we could, why not female custodians? What custodes? Why not? They're going to say things like that without any kind of knowledge about the property. This is common. The script doctor will.
Yeah, it's just
confirm it.
throwing ideas out there because
I
it's all about
Yeah.
can we add something new that the fans might like, and that's the other part too. The core audience might like that because if you're getting involved with an existing IP, the whole idea is like, well, are you going to give the fans exactly the same thing, or are you going to give them something extra that will make them more interested in this or just as interested in this as the original one was? Because when you take a look at Warhammer, well, what is it? Well, it's science fiction with all these other extra things on top of it, right? Those extra things are what brought people in and kept them there. They're thinking the same mentality. They're not always going to throw out the best ideas, but that's the entire goal. Is like, well, how do we separate Warhammer from Star Trek or science fiction or the Star Wars or Foundation? Well, these are the things we've added in to Warhammer to make them separate from that. Studio execs are just trying to do the same thing built on top of what already established it. They're not always going to be good ideas. A lot of the suggestions are going to be knocked down if they can't make them work. And that's just the part of the process of moving from one medium to another.
But you know what's funny? They wanted strong female characters. Warhammer already had those. It's called Sisters of Battle, Adeptas Sororitas. They are badass. They didn't have to make, female custodes. They didn't have to retcon the lore and destroy something that has been, that has been established like more than 15, 20 years ago.
But Brutus, the question now is, can one of the sisters be trans?
I mean, there is nothing stopping them in the law. No, there really is no. I mean, at least not that I'm aware of, because I never cared that much about Sisters of Battle. But they are badass. They are very strong females characters, and that it's made only by women. No, this because this is why it's called Sisters of Battles, Adapted Sororitas. And yeah, they wear power armor. No, they are badass. They are powerful, and they fight for the Emperor. I mean, why not use them? No, they had to destroy the
The
Lord. They had
reason
to
is that
retcon.
they don't like segmentation. What they want is women to participate and
Yeah, yeah,
own
I
the
know.
fun that men are having.
But they
It's
can fight
irrelevant that they've
alongside
got their
Space
own thing.
Marines. They can go to battle alongside Space Marines, alongside
It doesn't
Customs.
matter. No,
Yeah,
no,
that's not good enough. Not
it's
good
not
enough
good
for them.
enough.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, you guys probably right. Yeah, you guys know this better than me, because this is about movies and cinema, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe in Henry Cavill. No, he's a true fan of the franchise. He has showed this like more than once, and I was so happy because, bro, this guy, he's going to produce this series, so it's gonna be lore accurate. It's gonna be good. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm that excited for it anymore. Let's see, let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, because he's fighting the good fight, but he's the only one. And if this is true, this means that this is one of the series that Amazon are going to try very hard to wokeify. That's the impression that I get here, because if they didn't, they weren't going to be so hell bent on making this and that female. That they do can only mean that this is going to get the Wheel of Time treatment.
Yeah, and this all comes down to what we've been talking about, that there's no new IPs. Warhammer is probably the last really big one that has not been properly exploited. And we are seeing industries created around DEI, where you've got consultants. Like in the United States, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. There are more DEI consultants in the UK per capita than any other country in the world.
What?
And the issue is that these are people who make nothing. I just took apart an organization here in Canada called Unlearn. I mean, their job was to unlearn the evils of the past. As I'm putting words in their mouth, they didn't say that, but they do absolutely nothing. They've got an entire web page of 1,000 words, none of which add up to anything. Like, it's just gobbledygook.
But what is to unlearn something? What does that mean? To unlearn something?
Unlearn means you are born racist. Now we're going to unlearn you.
You know what? I have a better term for them to use: to de-whiteify.
Yes, that's basically what it is.
Yes,
that's brainwashing, bro.
Yes,
yes, it is.
Really brainwashing.
Yes, but that's exactly funded what it is.
Fuck, man, that's so.
That's what DEI is. That's exactly what it is. It's brainwashing.
And the DEI companies are hiring Unlearn Inc. and bringing them in, and they are giving every white person a cat o' nine tails so they can whip themselves like Opus Dei. So they're just completely bloodied in the back. You know, that they are evil people for having accidentally been born in the wrong exoskeleton. And it's just ridiculous. Now, the issue is that this is a growing industry, but they create nothing. It's a big nothing. This is the industry that's growing. This is why we're in trouble. They're not new ideas. All of these things have been fleshed out by Eberhard Seminar Training back in the 80s, which was a cult. I know
they are, you know, they still act like a cult. They just don't see themselves like that. You know, but it's so clear, in my opinion.
It's the Frankfurt School of neo-Marxism. I mean, it's just, it's silly. We see it as being silly. And I would just love to see some, well, the victories that we've been getting lately have been good, but the tidal wave of this bullshit is huge, and people willing to pay for it. Just to make themselves feel good. It's tough. It's going to be a tough battle to fight this bullshit.
Indeed. And as we fight this bullshit, I know we're leaving some panelists soon, or we're losing some panelists soon, rather. So let's do a couple of these super chats for those I know will be leaving soon. The DCV Titan wonders, is Paul meets DEI compliance? To which I can say, no, absolutely not. Because as long time and perceptive viewers may have heard once or twice, Paul happens to be of the Jewish persuasion. And if you see what's going on right now, there's absolutely zero DEI points to be had for having someone of the Jewish persuasion. On
the smallest minority.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's basically hiring another white colonizer right there. So no, Paul and everyone else is here because we love them.
Yeah, I would love to be the DEI hire.
Yeah, no, we don't do DEI hires here. We don't do compliance. So in the governance, which is basically the how well do you, because like ESG is like you have the environment and you have all of the DEI, social, which is the S, and finally you have governance, which is how management is being monitored on how well they are at enforcing the E and the S. I fail that G. Let's just put it that way. That particular G is one I'm failing, and I'm very happy to do so.
Well, according to my friend, who I still haven't been able to corral on ESG, Disney is failing the governance because the governance that is in ESG is actually classical board governance. It's actually the governance is not about DEI enforcing it. It's about board member independence. And so Disney is not following the G part of ESG.
Yeah, well, that's so Bob Iger can't even do that right.
No.
Fantastic stuff. And then Hypergiver wondered, will today's stream be as short as the Paramount earnings call? Yeah, no, we've blown past that by 10 times already, because for those who didn't see, we were on Valiant Renegade, and we covered that live here on Monday. And I have to say, I'm very, very glad that all three of us were on time, which was tight, because if we hadn't been, we'd have missed the whole thing. It's that earning call. After you take away the mandatory statements at the beginning, it clocked in at 6 minutes. So that was quite the earning call.
That's sad.
And then let's see if there's something else for you. Oh yeah, here's one. Penny script. You can help me with this. Penny says, "Fall Guy looks like fun. How far into the movie is the Lee Majors cameo?" And I couldn't tell you, because again, I've never.
Sadly. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's it's literally a blink or you miss it, and I didn't catch it. Sorry.
That's all right.
Watch it with your eyes open, like in A Clockwork Orange, I guess.
And then we have a correction here from Chaos Sonic, who says, "Here's the thing. White Falcon is supposed to be Mexican, so expect Latin X. And he is an actual character in the comics, Joaquin Torres." All right, so, but does he have the same kind of legitimacy as the female Silver Surfer? Are we talking about that kind of character from the comics?
Yeah, I don't know when he came in, but yeah, I actually saw this and was going to share it here eventually anyway, if we got back around to it, and we did. So here is our look at the actual actor himself. There you go.
Looks Latin.
Yeah.
Again, why did they change the characters?
But still, it's
Oh,
it's
wait,
another.
I hate this stupid
Uh,
shit.
Are you telling me that they changed the character ethnicity in an upcoming movie, bro? I'm so surprised.
No, they
I'm so
actually just got a
surprised.
character.
I
They made
think
a
he's
new
being
character and they
sarcastic.
gave him someone else's mantle.
I
That's what they
am.
did.
I
Oh,
know. I
I'm
was
so
just
glad I
explaining
don't.
that it's a script.
I'm so glad I don't give a shit about superhero movies anymore. I'm so,
Yeah, you
so
should be.
glad. So
And
glad I move on.
Oh Lord.
Yep.
Action Coming has one for you, Script, saying, "Thank you. In addition to answering my question, you've indirectly explained why Sorkin went the January 6th route for his sequel. Yeah, this is true.
Didn't we
Because
talk
is
about
just
this a little
how
bit
out of
Monday?
touch he
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on with January 6th, whether it's
Well,
truth,
and after the
lies, or I don't want to get into it here, but I am
yeah.
utterly confused by.
Okay, well, that's what they want.
Nah,
And then you can
Well-
think, what's the record for truth for those that are talking about it nonstop and who claim a certain thing happened? What's their record when it comes to the truth?
After the
That's
last
all I'll
couple
say
days,
about
if
that.
I ever hear anybody bitch about it on that side again, I swear I'll flip my lid. That's all I'm going to say.
Then Stephen Jordan, he had a question for Chato. I once heard Michael Moore say, "I don't give interviews unless it's live and unedited." Is
Yeah, and
this
he would
a
know
good advice?
because he's good at editing
Okay.
people out of context.
yeah. The last
Yeah.
interview I did, or I was asked to do, was I said, "May I record it?" And they went, "No." And
You
then
know what's sad?
so I said, "No interview."
Yeah, like Andre and I feel like we're one of the few people in this industry that, well, YouTube is probably the same way, but where even in our past when we've done some pretty high profile interviews, I'd say we're very fair with our subjects,
Extremely so.
more than
yes.
anybody that I've ever seen before.
Extremely so. Yeah.
That's called integrity.
Yeah. And we
Integrity.
may have more of that than many others. And Stephen Jordan also sent us another $5. So
I
thank you,
forgot to
Stephen.
put something. I have integrity, but it is purchasable.
As long as the price is high enough.
Yeah.
Everything has a price.
You got it.
Yeah. And Mexican Iron Man says, "It has never been more clear to me that the only one team of heroes can save us against woke. And this is the team of Mexican Iron Man, Mr. Canoehead and Bat Tom. B-level backup Revengers team assemble." Yeah, that's better than
Completely agree.
Disney's A-Team right now.
We just need RoboCop and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to release a new RoboCop movie next year, right?
Well, they've been trying.
I don't know about next year, but they have been working. Amazon will be rebooting it. They have announced their intention to reboot, but if it's going to come next year, that I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, Amazon bought MGM, which owned the rights.
Oh man, I was hoping it was going to be a good movie, bro.
Which I'm kind of surprised that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I knew it was going to be a movie, and Peter Weller was involved with it, and it was either. I mean, the story was either going to be RoboCop being frozen and waking up in the modern current era, or they would, the movie would be set in the 80s. It would be a retro looking movie. I was so excited for it. But now you tell me that Amazon is going to reboot it. So, man, RoboCop is one of my favorite movies ever.
I'm kind of surprised that Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner haven't gone back to try and get the rights back.
I'm waiting for the Buckaroo Banzai sequel.
Me too.
Well, that was another one that was gonna happen
8 years
and
ago.
then and then the rights, it turns out, were kind of in a limbo state between the original creator and MGM, so it just kind of fell apart. Kevin Smith tried his hardest to make it happen because he was actually the one directing it or whatever, and it completely fell apart. They even had, I think, Peter Weller and other people on board. So yeah, it was really
Peter
sucks.
Weller loved it. He
Yeah.
went public and said Kevin Smith wrote some fantastic scripts that were right in line with what he felt was Buckaroo Banzai.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
Back when Kevin could write scripts.
Right
Well, I
before
mean,
his
he
heart
was a
attack,
fan.
actually. Yeah.
Well, that helps that he was an actual fan. See, that's the other thing. I would love to see his Fletch script. I bet it's genius. Because he's a fan of not just the Chevy Chase films, but of the actual novels, right? So he has a pretty good grasp on the character. The mistake he made with He-Man is he was not a fucking fan. And that's what I pointed out to begin with, and Clownfish and others were too. And I dug up the clip from Comic Book Men where he flat out says he's not a fan of Masters of the Universe.
But the thing is also, he did a run of movies that just didn't work. The updated
his personal shit.
Silent Bob. His last several movies were just
pretty much everything after Red State has sucked. You're right.
Yeah, well, since he had his heart attack, he's not been the guy that could write the stuff. He writes before. He doesn't take any risks. I mean, the fact that the fact that he's a fan is immaterial because Kevin Smith was able to prove that he knew how to write a general story in all the original films he had. That's what made it work. The fact that he was a fan just meant that he knew how to be authentic with that material, but it's always, can you write a good story first? Because as I said before, fans have a very difficult time putting their characters in hard to do situations or challenging situations because they like their characters so much they don't want to actually hurt them. They baby them like parents.
Okay, well, let me rephrase it then. He did not take He-Man seriously.
No, he did not.
He saw it the way other people do when they say, oh, it's just a fucking toy. It was just a half-hour cartoon to sell a toy.
Well,
right.
He took his cues from a guy that claimed to be a fan but had their own agenda.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll rephrase that. But yeah,
and he gave us Dogma. So I'm.
Well, no, I mean, look, you weren't around, Paul, but that dude broke my fucking heart.
Yeah,
like because I was one of the only guys in this whole fellowship or whatever you want to call it that still stood up for him. Like a lot of people, he was a joke. They picked on him endlessly. But I was somebody who was like, no, he's one of us. He's cool. He's this, he's that, he's the other. After He-Man, I went off on him personally on Friday Night Tights. And not only did he block me on Twitter, but he had to have gone out of his way to block me on YouTube. Because I went to one of his streams and realized I was not coming up in the stream. So I logged into another account and sure as shit, my comments weren't coming up. So that means he had went out of his way to block me on there too. So he is so petty. That's what that tells me. That or it was his little protection team that we had discussed before that he has now.
Oh, well.
And I was one of his biggest fans, man. You know, it's sad. And I even know a lot of people who know him. Like I was always 1 degree of separation from him. And
Shatner has blocked me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's probably one of his minions.
I was going to say.
I defended him on one set of tweets. He even thanked me for it. I have the Shatner thank you tweet. So I don't know. I am devastated. I
don't understand. Yeah.
I'm getting out of bed every single day.
You should think about that a little more.
Knowing that Will.
But how petty is that you have to go out of your way to fucking just a little nobody like me? Like, what the fuck? Anyway,
I'll block you then.
Just no, I kind of am starting to get used to the dick pics. In fact, I wonder if I'll be able to get out of bed in the morning without them. I think they're kind of like coffee for me.
Collection.
Well, you're just always like, is this normal?
Well, that's a question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, Well, that's what you keep asking me every time you show me the marks. It's like
I gotta go. Just so you know, the TV Guide 1986 is in bed, and
yay,
will be coming up soon. That was a long one to write.
Cool.
It's all done. So that is finally coming. 1986, which includes LA Law, Alf. It includes some very interesting stuff, and even the bad shows weren't horrible, which I think is it's really cool. I love that era of the networks cranking out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They would commission 100 scripts, shoot 25 to 30 pilots, put 4 of them on each, and one might survive.
What a metric.
What a metric. And I said in my video that people don't, when they talk about the industry, the industry was not the shows that got on the air. The industry was the volume of shows that they created that didn't get on the air.
Yes.
A crap ton of people made a living, intentionally or unintentionally, about
Just writing pilots. Yeah.
just writing pilots, and they needed them. The networks needed them. I actually had one friend who wrote about 10 pilots. None of them made it. And then I came up with a sitcom around the idea that this person was the pilot king who never got one on the air and was actually quite happy with that living. But suddenly one pilot hit, and now it became a series, and they were completely blanked out. They couldn't
Now
deal
they got to
with it.
keep writing those characters over and over for every
But they
week.
couldn't do it. Like they got suddenly writing,
Writing block. Yeah.
writer's block. Anyway, it didn't go anywhere, but I thought it was an intriguing idea. Thank you very much for having me, Cabrutus, Tom, Script, everything, and I owe you something, Script. I know you know that. And have a wonderful time till Friday. Enjoy.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, always a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Nice talking to you again, bro. Have a good one.
Obrigado.
Take care, Paul. And how
Muito
much longer do we
obrigado.
got you, Script?
I'm gonna have to get going really soon, actually.
All right. Did we have any more for Script?
We didn't have any for script, but we have some for Cabrutus. Pack in Proton says for $5. Didn't Cabrutus say he was in Japan? How are they dealing with the death of Akira Toriyama? Dragon Ball Z is still huge.
Japan, absolutely love Akira Toriyama. No, I go to konbinis here. You guys know what a konbini is, right? They are like 24/7 24/7 convenience stores, and they sell a bit of everything. I go there mainly to grab some food for dinner and this kind of stuff. And I see Dragon Ball stuff everywhere here, man. Like everywhere. A Dragon Quest even more. For those who don't know, Akira Toriyama also made the design of the creatures and characters of the Dragon Quest franchise, which is the most important JRPG franchise in the history. But anyway, I digress. I just want to say that yes, Japanese people, they are more discreet. Is that the word I'm looking for, with death. And when someone famous dies, they just they pay the homages, and that's it. They stop. They don't draw much attention to it. They are more discreet regarding this kind of stuff. But absolutely, he's loved here. I mean, even one of my senseis at school, the guy is 50 years old and he loves Akira Toriyama and his drawings, his art. The guy is, it's huge here, definitely.
And then Actioncom says, Cabrutus, when I was growing up, I learned about Pele in elementary school from a story about positive thinking in our reading books.
Great. Pele is a legend. I don't have to say how much he's loved in Brazil, right? When he died, the team that he played his entire life, which is Santos Football Club, got demoted to second division for the first time in its entire history in the same year that he died. So sorry, not the same year, but right the next year. I mean the season, the Brazilian Championship, who was paying homage to Pele. So I mean, I'm glad you guys got to learn his story, because it's an amazing one. He's a legend. I would say that he is the most notable Brazilian of all time, in the world, of all time. Yeah. He and Ayrton
SDR
Senna.
Red Wolf points out that it's pronounced Ayrton Senna. Was that right? How do you say it?
Oh, in Brazilian Portuguese, we pronounce. Yeah, in Brazilian Portuguese, we pronounce Ayrton Senna. There's an R.
Ayrton Senna. Oh, okay.
There's
Ayrton
an R.
Senna.
So Ayrton Senna.
Ayrton Senna.
Ayrton Senna. That's how I pronounce
Right.
in Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah, I was always confused about that R in there. And that script, we don't have one specific for you, but I have one that I think you are a great person to answer. Vengeful Dragon. Garlic Bread Expert asks for a 14 South African rounds. If Marvel F's up the X-Men, can the franchise be saved?
Listen, everything can be saved in any way. It just depends on how creative of a way you're going to be able to save it. I'm more worried about if they screw up the Fantastic Four. Can they recover? Recovery is always going to be a long stretch. Tom's analogy of Deadpool and Wolverine being an island in a sea of piss is not far off. It's actually quite apt. The question is, the only way that island grows bigger and the P gets smaller is if they start making stuff that people like to see. But it's going to be a slow growth, which means that you're going to have maybe one hit, a couple of bombs, followed by another hit, maybe another bomb, then maybe 2 hits, then maybe 3 hits, and maybe 1 bomb. Like, it's going to be it's going to look like the stock market ticker for like Paramount right now. It's just going to have its ups and downs, but it's mostly on this downward trend because that's just what it is. Nobody knows exactly what's going to be a success, but they should have learned by now what methods to take that ensures them a better likelihood of success, considering what they've already failed at over the last 5 years or so. There's no way they're going to be able to do that with the current people in power over at Disney right now. They haven't changed anywhere there. But if Bob Iger leaves, when he leaves in 2038 or something of that nature, given how many extensions he's had, when new management comes in, that's usually going to be when such a franchise goes under a new direction. But right now, the way the stuff that's going on at Marvel right now is they are not going to cancel, stop, or disassociate the 30 plus movies of the MCU. They're just going to keep pushing forward the way they have. And if it does get changed, it's going to incorporate all of those original movies because they have a reputation that is bigger than anything that has ever existed in Hollywood before. They have 30 plus consecutive movies of a single franchise, which is Marvel. They have beaten James Bond by 10, I think, at this point. And James Bond was the biggest film entry franchise to exist up until Marvel trounced them. And even with the reboot of Casino Royale in the Daniel Craig era, James Bond was still considered one of the bigger, the biggest long-lasting franchises in film history. Marvel's never going to want to lose that crown, and they're going to acknowledge every bomb, every failure as all part of the same thing. The only way that you're ever going to get a hard, cold reboot is if you get such huge new management in there and they say we're ending the MCU and we're starting the all new Marvel Marvelverse or something of that nature. But I don't think that's going to happen in either of our lifetimes at this point. It's too big right now to abandon, unfortunately.
All right. Did you have one specifically for next, Andre, or?
No, I just wanted to add in one final thing to what Script was saying, because I agree completely on all counts. And just to illustrate that, consider the Marvels. When they knew they had a flop on their hands, what did they do in the trailers? Well, they promised that, here's like an Infinity War sequel, and here's Thanos and everything, and here's the new Thanos, which was a complete and total lie. But it was a very powerful tool to pull out of the basket. That's a basket they close the moment that they reboot everything. Now they can always bring out Thanos for everything. Try to get back to the good old days. And as for Super Chat, no, I think we can go back to the top right now for the remainders.
All right, let's see here. We've got Mario Trilio who says with $5. To those looking for a good laugh, Afro Man just released Hunter Got High, a joyful song. I heard about it, but I haven't heard it yet. I'll have to see if I get a chance to check it out today.
He put out a really cool song when the police raided his house as well. That's also one to check out. Did you find what you were looking for or something? Another fun one. Just mentioning.
I don't know if I know that one. I'm trying to see.
It's hilarious. It's like, it's better than Because I Got High, you asked me.
STR Red Wolf also says with $5, it is also Orthodox Christian Easter, which lasts about 5 days or so. Oh, did not know that.
Well, happy
Olaf,
Easter.
yeah. Olaf sends in €2 and says, Andre, not the ex-whammon. as it's focused on them. Yeah, right.
Well, I think that's probably too much of an exclusive term. I
Well,
mean,
it still goes along with what I had reported before, and that was that, then they were even bouncing around the idea of just calling him the mutants.
yeah. But that was never going to happen because that's way too far away from the brand identity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's too generic. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in a $5 super chat, says I still won't forgive Taika Waititi for the effing up the God Butcher arc. Seriously, you had a perfect setup for your new big bad and bring in Venom with Null and Gore. Yeah, I said this last night too, and I agree with you, Chaos, that you had a really good villain, a formidable foe, and played by a great actor, and you screwed it up.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. That's about right. They screwed up a bunch of things in that movie.
Yeah. Packing Proton says with Thor 3, I felt like felt like comedy to me, all over the place action. The only way they could win the battle was to lose the city. Goldblum looked like he wasn't sure why he was there. Oh, I don't know. I thought he was one of my favorite parts. With 4, felt a little more solid and felt more like the first 2, but I've only seen it once. Opinions might change on the second time. Yeah, I honestly, Packing Protons, I wanted to walk out at a certain point. It got so cringe to me. Like, I think it was that scene where they're in that apartment, and I'm like, are they even in the same set? I'm like, did they literally film them all in 3 different places on green screen and just plop them into a fake background? Because that's how stilted it felt to me. Like, and that was just a metaphor for the whole movie. And at that moment, I'm just like, God, this is not even a movie anymore. I just want to walk out. This is just tedious. I don't know if anybody else had a better or worse experience than that, but moving on, I guess. DCB Titan, yeah, sent in 2 Canadian. It says she saw Chris Hemsworth and local humidity hit 100. Yeah. Zion 1 sent in 5 and says they won't let go of connecting the MCU project, recast and start a new arc, source material, fan writers, end it with Endgame, start new arc. Well, they won't do that because then that would be admitting defeat.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and
although
don't get me
they
wrong,
totally
like,
should.
yeah, they in some ways they should, but again, one of these days, if physical media gets a resurgence, you will get the ultimate MCU box set with like 40 films in there, and
they already did one recently. Yeah.
Oh, they'll do many more,
and they'll keep doing it more and more, and they want to do that because, again, when money is not really an issue in Hollywood for people at that level, it's all about reputation. And what's a bigger reputation than having the MCU right now? Like, that's the mountain to climb to try and beat, and you can't do it because you're already 30 movies behind.
Right. Well, that's that. Let's see here. We've got Vengeful Dragon, the garlic bread expert, who sends in 14 South African rands and says if Marvel F's up X-Men, can
yeah,
the
we got this one.
Oh, we got that one? Okay.
Yeah.
We got this one. Okay. Chaos Sonic 1 says with 5, Joaquin is not even close to the comic shocker, as the comic, his falcon wings are organic, not mechanical. Look him up. Oh, see, so they can't even get that part right. Yeah. Accident Seller sends in 15 Norwegian Krona, says Hollywood is like your friend who betrayed you when he turned simp, but he didn't even poke the coochie because he got friend zoned. Now both of you are worse off. Yeah, I've been there. House Atreides sends in 10 Canadian and says, I see all the clickbait titles of Lucas potentially coming back. Do any of you really think he can fix Star Wars? Really? Lucas, the newest white slaver. I hope Favreau leaves Disney. Wow. Okay. So the first part of this, I think we discussed this the last week here, wasn't it? With the whole Lucas thing, or at least we did on, I think, Midnight.
Yeah, it must have been when I haven't discussed it any time before, actually.
Yeah, so go ahead, Andre. We talked about it, at least if not on the morning show on After Dark as well, and yeah, we all kind of said the same thing. So what's your take on it?
I think that if Lucas is there, it's mostly in a ceremonial role. I do not think that he's going to take a very active part other than some thumbs up and some ideas here and there. That's the most that we can hope for. As for anything else, I don't know. But what's the source of George Lucas coming back? Because I wasn't completely convinced by the source. It's more like this guy who
The source
a Star
is the
Wars
man.
Theory interviewed, right?
So the source is the man who directed Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to Christian something, or right?
Yeah.
And he
hasn't worked
edited
with
the
George
first
Lucas
movie.
in 2 decades.
How close is he to George Lucas today?
No idea.
How close is he to George Lucas and to Star Wars today? Is he referencing something that he knows? Does he know because he has some kind of involvement? How close is he to the thing? That's what I mean.
Yeah. We don't know
Because
him
here
because
is
he didn't
someone.
even confirm it. He never said, "Oh, I was at lunch with George Lucas last week and he said these things." He said,
Yeah,
"No,
if
I
he had said
speculate."
that, I would have been cool. But he said it as if he had it read it, as if he had read it somewhere.
Yes, and then now he's prophesizing or speculating. It's like, okay, now you're just talking out of your butt.
That's what
At
it
least in my
sounds like
opinion.
to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
And
thinking,
part of it could have been interpreted that he knew something and then he was kind of backtracking and trying to walk it back a little bit. But then I'm more with you guys, is that he doesn't know
yeah, how
jack
would he
shit.
know? And maybe he
He's
does.
just
Maybe
talking
he
out of
does
his
know
ass.
something. Yeah.
I would believe so if he actually had worked with George Lucas in the last fucking 3 decades.
And that's what I mean.
Like,
He
that's
has
the
to-
problem.
Yeah, he's probably had more conversations with John Travolta since Battlefield Earth
God.
than he has had with George Lucas.
Let's do
Yeah.
that movie again. Actually, they did release the actual theatrical cut finally for the first time on video last year or the year before. I can't remember which.
I have that movie on Blu-ray somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When they finally released it on Blu-ray, because it never been on Blu-ray. When they released it on DVD before, it wasn't the theatrical cut. It was that recut version of it.
Uh-huh.
So that version had been the one that had been on streaming and all the other services and stuff ever since. So for the first time since it had been released 20 years ago, the theatrical cut was available on the Blu-ray for the first time. I kind of wish I'd kept my old DVD just to compare. But
Just to compare them, yeah.
Yeah. Because I never saw it in theaters. So when I finally watched it, but I haven't watched the movie in 20 years either. So yeah. That was a blind buy on DVD at the time. Because there was a few movies at that point that had flopped in theaters, but when they hit DVD, they were very affordably priced DVDs. Like Wild Wild West was one of them. And Battlefield Earth was the other one that I remember offhand. I think Driven and a couple other ones that did poorly at the box office. They were all Warner titles too, which is odd. So yeah, they were just like 10, 15 bucks or whatever, brand new. I'm like, shit, that's cheap for a movie. I'll blind buy that. And boy, did I regret it.
Yeah, but anyway, so I
Yeah.
kind of question the source on this. I question the veracity, but let's just say that he knows something that we don't, that he has some kind of plug into who is doing what with the world of Star Wars still, which sounds incredible to me, but let's just assume that he does. I don't think that George Lucas is coming back for anything more than a consultant, a few thumbs up here and a thumbs down there, and that's pretty much it. Maybe like some written notes, no more than that. As for Favreau leaving Disney, I really don't know what to say about that. There we have like competing narratives. So we'll see what happens with time. We'll see what happens after this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because with him we're not going to have an inkling until that is out. Even we're going to have various rumors, but we're not going to know for a good while yet.
Now the Favreau thing, we have been hearing so many rumors back and forth about Favreau for a while.
Exactly. So I have no. I'm just going to say, you know what? Like, time is going to be the judge on that one. But I'm not optimistic for the future of Star Wars, and I think that Cabrutos is right. If you haven't let go of Star Wars yet, now is an excellent time to do so. Move on. There's other things. If you were considering Warhammer to be one of those other things, keep looking. for something else to get into, because Warhammer ain't it right now. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
If you're still a fan of Star Wars, consider not being a fan of Star Wars anymore.
Kind of like Cabrutus was saying earlier. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Staccato DDS sends in 5 memberships. Are you an actual dentist? I think you said that once. You are. Nelson Sharita sends in $2 and says, Andre, I have a question. What is best in life?
To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and read the new Conan comics from Titan Comics, because they're actually really damn good. Even Razor Fist agrees.
There you go. DCB Titan sends in another Canadian 5 and says, Sisters of Battle can be trans because
Can't.
or can't be trans. Sorry. It's a big difference. Because like somebody's gonna have to help me out with that one. Cannot have men at arms. The Ecclesiarchy.
But I mean, according to Amazon, maybe they could be trans, like Elliot Page, man, a woman becoming a man,
Oh Lord.
Well, I mean, would you be pleasantly surprised if they were to cast Elliot Page in some role in Warhammer? I mean, that could happen.
Yeah, I
As
wouldn't
one
be
of the Ecclesiarchy, for instance.
Okay, no, because Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Sororitas, they are all women, so that
Okay.
would
Yeah, no,
would
that wouldn't
offend
work.
Elliot Page, If they casted her to be him or her, I don't know, I don't even know anymore, to be a space marine. So yeah, that would be more politically correct, I would say.
Yeah, and they have put themselves in this situation where we have these conversations, and where we now recommend, okay, if you're looking for something new to get into and you considered Warhammer, keep looking, because that's not for the fans anymore. So yeah. And then on that note, Jay says for $5, I wonder if Games Workshop is changing the fact that the custodes in 40K are also inbreeds. That will explain why they are ugly. Well, in fact, that would fit very well with the women, though, because you know that these people they're not fond of attractive women. So if you now have an in-canon explanation for why they have to be ugly,
if you think they actually care that much for an in-canon explanation, but yeah.
Well, they care enough to fake it and pretend that it was different all along.
So like a trans person.
I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah.
I said it. So what? 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it.
Yeah, and if we weren't demonetized before,
we are now. They were 2.5 hours in. Sorry. Demonetized, exactly. Oh, I've been canceled so many times, Lewis. I don't know if they can cancel me anymore.
Oh, there's always ways. But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
moving on.
That's true. I shouldn't tempt fate. But script actor, speaking of, has to move on and leave us now. He has some things to do. So hopefully we get to see you soon. You got anything you want to plug besides your Saturday show, which is at 5 p.m. Central Time, I believe?
Well, it's 7 p.m. Eastern, so that'd be 6 Central.
6 Central. Okay. Close. I was close.
Let's get close. Yeah, so in about an hour or so, my review with minor spoilers for The Fall Guy will be on my Patreon. You can go sign up for that. Again, it comes with a 7-day free trial, so you don't have to pay anything to read that. Plus, you get all the backlogged bonuses and things of that nature on my Patreon as well. And I might have an impromptu live stream on a Sunday in a week or so to discuss some updates with some film projects that are being worked on by some colleagues of mine. So be on the lookout for that. Follow my Twitter, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
So yeah, everyone check out Script Doctor.
All right. Always a pleasure chatting with you guys. Guys in the chat,
care.
thanks so much for your patronage here on the channel. And Kabrutus, pleasure talking with you. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Take care. And we only got a couple more here anyway. Jay sends in $5, says, I wonder if GW is changing the fact that the custodies, is that how you say that, right? In 40K are also,
Custodies, yes.
yep, are also
I mean,
inbreeds. That will explain why they are ugly.
Yeah,
Or did we just read this one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
okay,
pretty
sorry.
much all the I mean, I don't know how much you guys are familiar with 4K lore.
Very little.
I'm not. Yeah, I am not a huge specialist. I just like it very much. But I mean, all the super soldiers, pretty much all the super soldiers from the Imperium of Mankind are made through genetic manipulation, though they are therefore, I mean, there was a pretty good lore explanation of, I mean, a while ago, people talked about female custodes. And if a female were to be a custode, they would have to change so much her DNA that she would barely look like a woman. She would barely be a woman in the final of the process, because she would have to get through so many genetic manipulation, like the gene Cs, the own god emperors, DNA, and this kind of stuff. And female subjects, they cannot survive the process because of gene seed incompatibility, because they are females and the god emperor is a male. Now, there is no official statement about that, but that's for Space Marines, Adeptus Astartes. For Adeptus Custodes, there's no, I mean, from what I know, please guys in the chat correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know, there is no official statement of how exactly they create Adeptus Custodes, but it is indeed through genetic manipulation, and it has always been male, so I mean, I guess the same thing applies, female subjects are not compatible, and they would just die. It is mentioned in the lore that whenever they try to create female Space Marines, the subjects died, because it isn't compatible, and so that's. I'm sorry, I went through a lore nerdy explanation, but yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, that's what we're here for. So that's all good. I just wish that that the good people at Amazon and Games Workshop would have respected that lore that you so passionately went through that they ignored right there. But yeah, sadly, that's where we are. And then moving on from there, we have Horseradish Power saying for £2, reminder, DEI equals didn't earn it, which I think is a little bit too generous. Accident Salvage says Transformers more than meets the eye. Yeah, that is true. And Packing Protons says for $10, the only time I had the guts to do an interview was on the phone with James Avery. I was nervous as hell, but people seem to like it on YouTube as a good interview. Well, that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And Packing Protons also says, no worries, Tom. I'll watch Batman and Robin over the Dark Knight again. So what do I know? Well, Batman and Robin is overrated. So it's underrated, that's what I mean. So yeah, don't worry about that. And with that, we are actually fully caught up here. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Kabrutus, thanks for joining us today. How are things in Japan?
Thank you.
Yeah. I know it's quite late for you there.
It's almost 4 a.m. here. It's almost 4 a.m. here.
Oh my god. So how's life in Japan compared to Brazil?
I've been very busy here because I came as a student, so I have to go to school. I have to study. I'm learning Japanese in a Japanese language school,
So how many languages do you speak then? Holy crap.
I speak Brazilian Portuguese, English, and right now I am still learning Japanese, Nihongo.
Wow, impressive.
So
I'm still learning. No, it's not impressive, bro. I'm still learning. I'm not good at it
It's
yet.
very impressive, trust me. It is.
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I mean, once I become good, I will accept your compliment. I will say, yeah, it is impressive. But right now, I can barely. I mean, I can talk to, for example, when I go to companies, I can make like small chat, with the cashier, Um, so yeah, I mean, I am just getting started, saying things like watashi wa kaburuto desu, this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm just getting started. I'm just baby steps. But I'm learning hiragana, katakana, and I'm just getting started with kanjis. Kanjis are the very hard part of the Japanese language, believe me. But it's a matter of keep practicing and studying. But yeah, and about the country, it's great. Japanese people they're amazing, they are very receptive, and if they see that you are here willing to learn their culture, willing to learn their language, and adapting yourself, respecting their rules, their way of life, they will embrace you. They've been respecting me very much. I mean, when I am any place and they notice that I am not understanding because I don't know, I cannot completely understand Japanese and know some stuff I cannot even read. They help me, and they like knowing more about me. They talk to me. It's great, It's it's beautiful to see a society that hasn't been touched by the progressive virus. You see advertisements, and there are beautiful women like smiling, no ugly woman, like fat woman with green hair, yelling at you. Femininity isn't forbidden in this country. It is okay to be a straight male, unlike woman here. I mean, you see the kids going to school. It's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful country. I just hope I can stay here for the long term, because I just came as a student, and I would try to find a job here, turn my visa into a working visa and this kind of stuff. It's a process, but I'm gonna try to get through it. It's an amazing country. You guys should come visit Japan at some point. I recommend to anyone. It's a great place.
Yeah, I would
Great
love
people.
to if I
Great
get the
You're the
culture.
second person this week to tell me that I should, so maybe there's
Do it,
something
bro.
to that.
Mhm.
It's not really
Yeah.
anything I necessarily was on even my bucket list or anything like that before, but
Mhm. Mhm.
when two people tell you in a week, I guess you got to kind of pay attention.
Yeah, and the food is great, bro. I mean, Japanese food is delicious. I just ate a ramen like 2 days ago. Oh, there is this Japanese guy. He's a follower of mine because he's a fan of my work on internet. And he offered himself, he volunteered himself, hey, I can take you to Akihabara, I can show you some cool stuff. And okay, let's do it. And we went out like 2 times already. He takes me to excellent places to eat. He shows me very cool stuff. It's been great, and we ate ramen the other day, bro. It's delicious, man. Believe me, if you ever come to Japan, you should try Japanese sushi and ramen. Dude, it's awesome, man.
I do like ramen. I've had that many times. Not in Japan because I've never been in Japan. Yeah, I've tried it in Japanese restaurants, so that's the closest I'll get, I guess.
Yeah, and I double checked Rumble. I didn't see anything over on the Rumble side, but we got another super chat from Packing Protons who said, Kabrutus, are you anywhere near Nakano Ku? I'm sure I'm saying that completely wrong. Shiato, Tokyo, Japan. My old high school friend I haven't heard from in a while, I think he means. Sorry, I read it wrong. Moved back home there. Okay.
Yeah, I arrived in Japan less than a month ago. So I moved to Japan 3 weeks ago. So I don't know much. I mean, I am living in Tokyo, but I don't know many places yet. So I'm sorry, but I honestly, Nakano, I have heard, I think it's a station or a province name, prefecture, city name, because Tokyo has lots of inner cities, like forming like inside of it. So I have heard this name, but I'm not sure what exactly it is. So I don't know what no, I don't know where this place is. But if I do discover at some point, I'll let those guys know and maybe we'll reach you.
All right,
All right,
excellent.
cool.
And with that, we are caught up. So again, thank you, Cabrutus, for your time. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have some more updates on all the stuff that you're working on again soon. We hope to talk to you again real soon. In fact, I know I'll be definitely talking to you soon. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of features on the website coming. We just released the website, but we are already working on some features to make it better. I am planning to add, like the DI movies and series part. I am also planning to add a section, like separate categories to mention censored games and also to mention games with Western localization problems. Like we had with Eiyuden Chronicle last week. That game has nothing with DEI, but the Western localization team, they inserted terms like shoulds, into the game, and they made the localization kind of political. And yeah, I have an article talking about it, and I want to create a category for that, for this kind of situations. And also in the future, I am planning on having a section for uncensored mods, game mods, because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's this platform called Nexus Mods. It is for people to download mods for their games. Mods are, let's put it that way, they are archives who will alter the game. They can alter a character's appearance, they can alter text and all this kind of stuff. And some people create mods to uncensor censored things in the game. Some people create mods to just get rid of the gender neutral pronouns in the game, this kind of stuff. And Nexus Mods, which is the greatest, which is the biggest platform for mods downloading, they censor those mods. If you have a mod who gets rid of non-binary, gender neutral language in your game, they won't allow your mod to be hosted in their website. They do that. They censor a bunch of mods. So I am seeing the possibility to create a section on my website for uncensored mods, so you guys can go to the website and download these mods that are not being allowed in other platforms, because they are a bunch of progressives, and they don't like freedom of choice.
Well, that sounds very cool. That's exactly the kind of stuff that's up my tea. Like, I'm a big fan of ROM hacks, and this is the modern gaming version of that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it will take a while. I'm still checking stuff with my webmaster. There are other features that are more important right now, so we have to prioritize them. But it is a possibility. I'll have more news regarding this in the future, and I intend to do it. I will look for ways to make it possible, like
Very
financially possible, mainly because we're gonna need just to let you guys know, we already had to change the server, the website hosting, because the free hosting we have, the free trial hosting wasn't being able to handle so many requests that the website was receiving. It's being accessed by many people, so we had to move it. And the cost to maintain the website increases. So we are still verifying, how would the cost would be, what cost it would be to have this kind of stuff in the website. We are checking everything out. We are checking everything before making a promise. I'll just mentioning it that I will gonna try. That's my promise. But we still have to see how things will develop. But it is my intention.
Very cool. And of course, all your links are in the description, so people can follow you there on YouTube
Thank you.
and elsewhere.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. So yeah, and of course at 4 a.m. we do have to let you go so you can get back to bed. We have videos dropping in the next 24 hours, so be sure to check back for that. Check back regularly in case you aren't notified. Videos will be coming soon. Tom, anything else we need to plug? Tom had to drop out.
Sorry, yeah, I'm dealing with my kid right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Later on tonight, I'll just be on my typical physical media show later on with fanzine and all that stuff. So,
all right, very cool. Okay, so yes, one more time, thanks to everyone who were watching. Thanks to our panel, and with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.